Good evening. This meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Freeholder Bobadilla, absent. Freeholder Vice President Gill, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Present.
Freeholder Jones.
Present.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Siebel, absent. Freeholder Toro.
Here.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Here. Okay, can we please stand to salute the flag? Freeholder Jones, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please remember all those that you've lost. Thank you. Okay, I have before me a certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay. Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay. Let's move to the public comment session. On agenda items for action only, if there's anyone from the public that would like to come and speak regarding agenda items, please come forward to the microphone and state your name and affiliation, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, hearing none. For the members of the public who are here this evening, and for those watching at home, oh, do we have?
For agenda item?
For agenda items?
Action.
Okay, okay.
Anthony DePascal and Mike Ortiz from Klein Recycling.
Hi,
Hi, how are you today?
I'm well, and yourself?
Very well.
Good.
We were asked to come.
Yes. Yes, you were the vendor that we asked to come before us?
Oh,
Yes.
not yet.
Yes, thank you so much. I will let you know when to come forward. I know
Oh,
it's a little
great. Sorry.
confusing.
Thank you very
Yeah. You're trying to get out of here fast, huh? Acknowledging Freeholder Vice President Gill is present with us. So for the members of the public who are here this evening, and for those at home watching on TV, tonight's meeting is a conference meeting, and that means that we're generally only discussing resolutions that will be voted on at next week's board meeting, the following week. Tonight, however, we will have a public hearings and votes on 2 ordinances, and we will vote on resolutions number 1617, 45, 46, and 50. Additionally, resolutions number 1, 7, and 12 have been withdrawn by the administration. So at this point on the agenda, resolutions 16, 17, 45, 46, or 50, please come to the microphone. Those are the agenda items, and if anyone has anything to say regarding those.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Beverly Lynn, and I am here. I'm listed as number 16 as a reappointment to the Human Services Advisory Council. I'm not sure if you'd like to have me say anything, but okay.
I'm going to give you the same answer that I just gave the gentleman. It is a little confusing, I know. You never really know when to come up to the microphone, but as soon as I get to that resolution, I'm going to give you an opportunity to come up and speak. And just so that everyone knows, we are going to skip to resolution number 50 first, so that we can, we have someone that needs to leave early, and so we can accommodate that, all right? Freeholder, I'm acknowledging Freeholder Bobadilla, who just joined us. Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there is no one wishing to speak on agenda items for action only. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak on any issue at all, please come forward, and again, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Good evening, Madam Chair of the Freeholder Board, elected freeholders. On behalf of Weequahic Park Sports Authority, I just want to thank you for adding us to the agenda.
Name on
We
the
look
record.
forward to working with the
Can you
county.
state your name and your
Douglas
affiliation
Freeman.
again?
Douglas Freeman, Weequahic Park Sports Authority, P.O. Box 4252, New Jersey. We're ready to get started. We're going to be bringing the USTA tennis, Tiny Tots Golf, Little League Baseball. We have our kite event that's May the 2nd, so we look forward to each and every one of you and the people in the audience that come to the kite event, where we're going to give out 1,000 kites to the kids. And we're going to have a ball for these next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak about anything at all? Okay, Madam Clerk, hearing none, please let the record reflect that we have no one else. I see that we have no ordinances for introduction and first reading. And I also see that we have no ordinances or introduction and first reading to be listed for a future meeting.
That is
So let's move to ordinances on second reading and public hearing. Please read the first ordinance.
Ordinance number O-2015-00001, bond ordinance supplementing bond ordinance O-10-00014 and providing for certain costs in connection with the construction of new Essex County Vocational School and the acquisition of real property upon which it will be located in and by the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $35 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $35 million, and therefore authorizing the issuance of $35 million bonds or notes of the county for financing such appropriation.
Okay, thank you. I hereby declare the public hearing on ordinance 0-2015-00001 open. If there are any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this ordinance, please come forward to the microphone and state your name and affiliation, and again, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Hearing none. Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions?
No questions, just a comment to remind the board that when this was on first reading back in early January, and even prior to that, we heard a good deal of information from County Council that this is the acquisition of the site formerly known as the new United site, and where the new vocational school will be built in the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on ordinance number 0-2015-00001?
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Freeholder Johnson, seconded by Freeholder Bobadilla. Do I have a same mover and a second to approve the ordinance?
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel absent. Freeholder Toro.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please move to the next ordinance and read it.
Ordinance number O-2015-00002, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements by the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $11,750,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $11,190,000 bonds or notes for the county for financing such appropriations.
Okay, thank you. I hereby declare the public hearing on ordinance O-2015-00002 is open. If there's any member of the public who would like to come to comment either for or against this ordinance, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation, and again, you'll have 3 minutes. Okay, hearing none. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
I don't, Madam President.
Okay. Freeholders?
Madam President,
Yes. Freeholder Johnson?
I would like the county assistant business administrator to kind of explain this one to, especially the new freeholders that are here, because it's usually $20 million that we usually bond each year. But some monies was moved, we used last year to complement a project that was being done. And that's why we're only doing 11, but let's have the assistant county administrator explain that for our new freeholders.
Howard Abramowitz, Deputy County Administrator. If Madam President will allow me, I'll do one better. We actually have the treasurer here with us who can explain this much better than I could. So if I
Yes.
could call Mark Acker to the stand.
Thank you, Mr. Abramowitz. Mr. Acker?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Mark Acker, Director, Department of Administration and Finance. As the freeholder alluded to, this is appropriating $11,750,000 and authorizing debt for $11,190,000. The last remaining piece of the total capital budget for this year would be for the county college, and that'll be brought forward at a later date when we know that the state is going to participate in the Chapter 12 program. And further to the freeholders' comments, the $20 million cap that the county executive has in place, we tapped into that last year to do the parking deck at the recreation complex in West Orange. So this should do it, other than the balance for the county college once we know whether the state will participate in the Chapter 12. The $11,750,000 is for the various capital improvements. I don't have it in front of me, but it's for buildings and grounds. It's for parks. It's park projects are $1,650,000. Highway improvements are $4,350,000. And building improvements are $5,750,000, all fully itemized and detailed in the ordinance, but that would comprise the $11,750,000.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions? Freeholder Jones?
What is Chapter 12, the state, the funds from the state, you said?
Surely, Freeholder. The Chapter 12 program is a program whereby the state will agree to participate in county college capital projects, and they participate to the tune of 50%. And what happens is, typically, Essex is $2,500,000, $1,250,000 is ours, and $1,250,000 is the state. We would sell the $2,500,000 in the bonds, send to the state the debt service schedule on the $1,250,000 that they're responsible for, and as we go forward over the next however many years that the bonds are scheduled to be amortized, they pay the debt service on their half. So essentially, all county college projects that are part of the Chapter 12 program receive 50% state funding, and the county pays the remaining 50%.
Freeholders, any other questions? Freeholder Johnson, Freeholder Jones, does that satisfy your answer? Okay, good. So, do I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing?
I'll move.
Second.
Do we, you have to close.
Yes.
Who moved?
It was moved by Freeholder Toro, seconded by Freeholder Richardson. However, just for the record, this is a motion and a second to close the public hearings on ordinance 2015-20002.
No, 0000.
00002. Do I have a same mover and seconder to approve the ordinance?
Move.
Yes.
Okay, great. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Toro,
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo, absent Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, and again, for the members of the public, we're going to skip down to resolution number 50, and then we're going to come right back around, okay? So please, let's move to resolution number 50 and read.
Resolution 50, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget, resolution authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation pursuant to NJSA .40A:4-20.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain resolution and the resolution and tell us why you're requesting this action tonight?
Yes, Madam President. First of all, thank you for
And
taking it.
before you, I'm so sorry, but acknowledging Freeholder Luciano entering. Back to you, Mr. Abramowitz.
Yes, Madam President. First of all, thank you very much for taking this ad starter. It's something we don't normally like to do, but it is an emergency, we feel, so that's why we came before you this evening for action, and also thank you for moving it up on the agenda. I appreciate it. Again, we have Mark Acker here, who is better at explaining this than I would, so if I could call Mr. Acker up to the stand.
Okay, Mr. Acker,
Thank you, Alan. This is an emergency.
can you state your name and affiliation again for the record?
Certainly. Mark Acker, Director of Department of Administration and Finance. This is an emergency resolution appropriating $3,393,600 for our Public Works Department for snow removal, which encompasses everything to do with winter events, ice, the whole 9 yards, not just snow. Their allocation that was included in the county executive's budget when it was presented January 15th was for $4,238,600. The temporary budget, which was adopted on January 1st, had $2,845,000. The balance of $1,393,600 we want to provide for the Public Works Department in as much as they're rapidly depleting their budget allocation. And in addition, we want to provide an additional $2 million, which would take the resolution from $1,393,600 to $3,393,600. That would have to be included in the budget as introduced by the board, and we would propose to pay for that additional $2 million by increasing the amount to be utilized by fund balance by the same equal increase of $2 million. So again, this gives him the balance of his annual allocation for snow removal plus an additional $2 million. That $2 million we're going to have to pay for when we introduce the budget, and our proposal is to increase the amount we're utilizing from fund balance to offset the increase of the $2 million for the snow removal.
Thank you, Mr. Acker. Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, just to clarify, or clarify, maybe repeat what Mr. Acker said, this money, as he stated, is coming from the fund balance, which, we might call a rainy day fund. I guess it's a snowy day fund, too. But it doesn't affect the tax levy at all, correct? It wouldn't affect, it's not any additional tax would need to be raised.
$2 million of the $3,000,003 is new.
Right.
And we're proposing to offset that in the budget with fund balance.
Fund balance, right.
All right. Freeholders, do you have any questions? Freeholder Richardson?
Yeah, I have a quick question. What happens with this money if it's not used? If you don't use the whole extra $2 million that you're allocating and that you're going to fund through whatever those means are, what happens to that money?
Freeholder, it will stay on the books as unexpended. Let's just say, for purposes of discussion, it's $2 million that we don't spend. It would stay there, and then the following year, which would be December of 16, it would come back to us through fund balance.
So the extra $2 million.
Freeholder Richardson?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair. So the extra $2 million, is it how are you obtaining this money? Is this money that you're going to have to pay for? Where's this money coming from? So, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Freeholder. We're going to have to increase the budget by $2 million that was presented to the board by the county executive in January. We're going to have to increase that by $2 million as far as the appropriation, and we're going to pay for it by increasing the amount of fund balance we're using in the budget to balance the budget. Currently, the fund balance in the budget is $9.3 million. We would take it to $11.3 million to pay for the $2 million increase in the snow removal appropriation. If it doesn't get spent, it sits there by statute for another year, and then it'll come back to us into fund balance.
So it'll come back, I'm sorry, through you, Madam Chair. So it'll come back to us with interest?
Well,
Is it just going to sit there? Is it going to, where's it going to sit?
to the extent all of our money is put to work,
Okay.
it'll be earning whatever paltry interest we're earning right now, which is
Mr.
just
Acker?
that, paltry.
For the purposes of those in the audience and those watching at home, can you please explain what the fund balance is?
In the olden days, they called it surplus. The state didn't particularly care for that because it sounded like, it was money that shouldn't be there, so they call it fund balance. In the corporate world, it's retained earnings. It's at the end of the day, it's what we have on our books as retained earnings. If we were to close business, as of December 31 of 2014, we would have had $64 million in surplus or fund balance. That could have, it's never going to happen. We're not closing business, but it would have been money that could have been distributed however. So it's our, as the counsel to the board referenced, it's our rainy day fund in case we run into emergencies, and that's what we're doing here with $2 million.
Okay, thank you. Freeholder Richardson, does that satisfy your answer, or your question?
Thank you.
Freeholder Toro?
I believe Mr. Parlavecchio already stated this, but I just want it to be on the record clear that these changes on the budget are not going to increase, make any difference with the taxpayer dollars, correct?
Correct.
Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Freeholder Luciano?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Acker, I'm just curious, were the freeholders provided with a breakdown as to why you came up with the number 2 million? Because I don't see that in my package. Was that just a dart number, or do we have a breakdown as to how many storms that would pay for, how many hours of legwork and labor? These are some of the things that I'm looking for. I don't know if that was provided in the package, or if I'm just missing it here.
I don't believe there was a calculation that was provided. The 2 million is not a dart number, Freeholder. Last year, coincidentally, we did the same thing. Added 2 million more, just what we're doing this year, to the budget that was presented by the county executive. And we're doing the same thing again this year. Just by way of comparison or an example, I understand our public works / county engineer to say that on average, 1 inch of whatever is $100,000 in cost. So you could
And I understand,
look at 2 million as roughly
I understand where you're
20
coming
inches.
from, but I'm just taking the stand here of, you're asking the freeholders to vote for $2 million. It would make some sense if we actually could see the breakdown as to, what that would provide us. How do we know next week if we don't have 2 blizzards, you're going to come back and ask for another 2 million? I mean, this is what I'm saying. I would like to, I think that, it's obviously needed. We see what happened over the last week. We know the importance of public safety and our roads, to have safe roads, the proper necessities of salt. My only question is, and again, through you, Madam Chair, is would like to see who came up with that number. You know, it's just such a round number as to, you know, it would make more sense if this board could be provided with some documentation as to, you know, hours, manpower, just to make us a little more comfortable, or at least make me, I can't speak for my other colleagues, just to make me a little more comfortable with my vote here. Again, like I said, I'd be willing to spend whatever it takes to keep our residents safe, but I don't want to have to come back here in 2 weeks for the same thing, where you say, you know what, we just had 3 blizzards in 14 days, now we need another $2 million. So what would this $2 million actually cover? 1 storm, 3 storms, 10 storms? Do you see where I'm going with this?
I believe I do. And again, specifically, I'm under the expert guidance of our Public Works Director and County Engineer that roughly $100,000 per inch. So now.
Right, but again, I don't even see that in writing. You're saying that on public record, like that's a fact, $100,000 per inch, because that wasn't provided to the board in writing?
No,
Freeholder.
that's what I've been told, and I have no reason to not take that on face value. Out of the $4,238,000 was originally budgeted for snow removal, $3,583,000 is for other expenses, the salt and the outside contractors. As of today, $3,100,000 and change of that has been spent. So we have a snow event tonight into tomorrow, or tomorrow night into, we have it over the weekend. So clearly, his other expense allocation, the other $700,000 is for overtime salaries, but his other expense allocation of $3,583,000 is going to be shot by the time we get to the weekend, if not prior to that. So this is preparing for the fact that we still have almost all of February and March to go. And again, why the $2 million? I'll go back to my previous statement, and that is we added $2 million last year. And to get back to Freeholder Richardson's questions earlier, out of that $2 million we added last year, $800,000 remains unspent. And December of this year, we're going to take that back into a reserve for snow removal. So, Freeholder, hopefully we don't have to come back during the budget process because of an inordinate amount of potential future storms and say we need more money. If after the budget is introduced and adopted, we have more storms, we do have a snow reserve of $2,075,000 set aside that we can tap into. We're choosing not to do that now because we can address the potential need now during the budget process.
Okay, and please hold your comments for a second, acknowledging Freeholder Seabolt. Mr. Acker, so what I hear you saying is that there's a sense of urgency with this, as far as we have expended what we had so far up until we do approve the budget in a couple of weeks for snow removal. And you said that includes overtime and everything else. Is it because of this past blizzard that we prepared for that ate away at the original budget that was estimated? Because we did prepare very well to make sure that every single resident in this county would be safe, from making sure that lunches were packed for seniors that they can have access to, if in the event that power went out or they couldn't use their stove, down to making sure the plows move throughout in a very seamless way. So is that what ate away at the budget quickly?
The whole 9 yards, Madam President. I mean, it's Wednesday. We've had ice for what, 2 days? Not snow per se. We had some snow to start this event, but primarily the Public Works is battling ice. So they're out salting and doing what they have to. So it's just a combination of a cold start to the 2015 winter season. And as we get precipitation, it's not coming down as rain as much as snow and freezing rain and then ice.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes, just to complete, again, I don't want to tie up the meeting on this. What I'm going to ask through you then, Madam Chair, is if the freeholders, or at least, again, I'm going to speak for myself, could be provided with a breakdown as to how much we've spent so far this year, and, whether that's for actual material, salt, or if it was for labor. And, again, if they could also break down in writing this $2 million, how much of that would be broken down into salt, gasoline, labor, overtime, et cetera, just so that we have a better snapshot as to the money that we're allocating here.
Absolutely not a problem. We have that, and that will be provided.
Yes. We would
Thank
like
you,
to
Madam
very much
President.
so see that. We will take action on this tonight, because it's to my understanding there's even a storm coming on Friday. And I, can't speak for the rest of my colleagues, but I would assume so, that we would all be on the same page with not wanting to put any of our residents in danger, because we haven't approved to allocate money in a certain budget. So, but we'll see. So we will take action on it regarding a vote. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
No additional
Ms.
questions.
Salam? Any questions? Okay. Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Freeholder Vice President Gill, seconded by Freeholder Bobadilla. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Toro.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Acker. Please feel better. Okay, Madam Clerk, now for members of the public, we're going to skip back and go through, and I promise I'm going to try to get you out of here, those who have come to the microphone to speak, we've requested. Please, let's move to resolutions number 1 through 14, except for resolutions 1, actually 7, and 12, which have been withdrawn by the administration. They are all advice and consent nominations for new appointments to the Local Advisory Committee of Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Please read them.
Resolution 2, advice and consent nomination for the appointment of Martine Scrisha to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Thank you. Resolution number 3, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Bernice Taylor Jones to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 4, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Nicole Graves Watson to the Local Advisory Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 5, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Donna Kurtner to the Local Advisory Committee.
That's someone's radio.
Yeah.
We'll give it a second. It just loaded on the computer.
I can't. It's doing it on its.
It just clicked on itself.
No, it's frozen.
Oh, can you disconnect
Yeah,
it?
power it down. Okay, technology is great.
Where's Gary?
I didn't get it.
Still probably will play like
You
that.
want to just take it out?
Meaning the screen is frozen, but the,
Turn off the power.
Unplug it.
there you go. That's what I just
There.
did.
You got it?
Got it. But can you reboot it for me so we can, so I can get onto the,
Okay. All right. Resolution 5, advise and consent for the nomination and appointment of Donna Kurtner to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 6, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Henry Mohammed. You know what, we're going to have to just take that out of here, okay? Okay. Nomination for the appointment of Henry Mohammed, MSLC, ADC, ICADC, CAMF to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 8, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Kenneth Thomas, MHS, LCADC, CAADC, LPC to the Local Advisory Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Advise and consent, Resolution 9, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Lisa Joseph to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 10, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Ming Montello to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 11, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Pasquale Augustine, LCADC, to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 13, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Mark Ackerman, LSW, to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Resolution 14, advise and consent nomination for the appointment of Louis Garwelly to the Local Advisory Committee on Alcohol and Drug Abuse.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain the resolutions and introduce the nominees?
I will be glad to, Madam President.
Thank you.
Actually, I have the Director of the Division of Community Health Services, Jackie Eustine, which I don't know has come before this board before, but she is no stranger to some of us. And she can explain to you exactly what the program is and can pronounce the nominees' names, because I'm actually glad that Madam Clerk had to do that, not myself. I tend to do the same thing with names, but she's very excited to come up here, explain the program to you, and to introduce the nominees to you. So, Jackie Eustine.
Thank you.
Do I have to introduce myself?
Yes.
Jackie Eustine, Director of Community Health Services. We have an alcohol grant for the treatment of alcohol and drugs. And this is our local advisory board. We meet and they advise us on our RFPs. They read them all. They're very diligent. And I am delighted to bring this particular group of people to the board. They have a wealth of knowledge, and it's a very diverse group with diverse experience, and I think that it will make an excellent board. So the first person I'd like to introduce is Martise Strychaz. Martise, would you like to come?
Martise Strychaz.
Strychaz, yeah.
Strychaz.
I'm not good at that. I take all my life with this, I'm not saying. Good evening.
Name for the record.
Name for the record.
Martise Strychaz.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Oh, wow, there's so much. You don't have 2 hours, do you? 2 hours? No, I won't do that. I've been in the field of addiction and mental health. Actually, I guess it goes back 30-some years. I took a break some years ago and I went to corporate America. I stayed there 10 years. I stayed there 10 years and I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it. I had to come back to my first love. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy improving programs. I enjoy identifying needs that are underserved. And I want to be able to work with my colleagues, no matter where they're from, across the country. I've worked in France in the prison system. I worked in the prison system here. I worked in the prison system in Thailand. And you know, addiction is addiction, no matter what language, what country. And I hope I can bring my wealth of knowledge and bind with others to make something happen.
Thank you, Martise.
The next person is Bernice Taylor-Jones, and she's going to be our second vice chair.
Hi, Bernice Taylor-Jones.
Hi, Bernice. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Okay. I did want to tell you that I have 7 grandchildren. Is that relative, just so you know? My newest baby was just born January 7th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm a licensed clinician, and I've been working in the field of addiction since 1989. And I'm from Essex County, and my deal is to try to help reduce the stigma and help people understand what addiction is, and that alcohol is also a drug,
we have to say alcohol and other drugs because people haven't wrapped their minds around the fact that alcohol is one of the most deadliest drugs because it's so accepted, it's legal. So if I can educate people on that and continue to be a part of LACADA, which I've been doing for many years. It's the first time we had to do this, though, but I'm just happy that they still want me to be a part of it. That's it. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Nicole Graves, who works in the prosecutor's office.
Yes, good evening. Thank you very much.
Your name and
for having me
affiliation
here
for the
today.
record?
Nicole Graves Watson. I'm the Community Relations Specialist with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. In my role, I'm responsible for serving as a liaison between law enforcement as well as residents in Essex County. I'm responsible for planning various community outreach programs. I work alongside of members with the Essex County Freeholder's Office to provide programs for children throughout the school year. I also work with adults regarding their concerns as well as adolescents. I'm a social worker by trade. I actually started my career off working at DIFAS. I was 21 years old, and one of the things that I saw oftentimes was that parents had difficulties raising their children based on substance abuse. And so starting at that point, substance abuse was very important to me. And also in terms of crime prevention, we see that many crimes are committed due to individuals who have substance abuse issues. So again, I'm very honored to be a part of the board and to work alongside with LACADA to make sure that we have appropriate programs for residents in Essex County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna Kurtzner.
Hi, my name is Donna Kurtzer. Everybody puts the Z in the end. I've been doing this for 30 years. I am the volunteer on the volunteer board. I take meetings into jails and around Essex County. I live and work in Essex County. Recovery is my passion. I love working with the youth and with the women, and I hope I can add something to this board. I know I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry Muhammad.
Good evening. My name is Henry Muhammad Hamilton. I am a professional in long-term recovery, and what that means is for 30 years I haven't had a drug or a drink. For 30 years I haven't been arrested after a 7-year prison history. And for about 20 years I haven't smoked a cigarette. By God's grace, through treatment. I believe that I am proof positive that treatment works. I'm a native from the city of Newark, New Jersey, right down the street, Scudder Homes. Born and raised in the city, and now I'm a licensed clinician, working on a doctorate degree, and I own and operate an ambulatory care facility that provides mental health and substance abuse treatment for individuals like myself. So I'm honored to be a part of the LACADA board, to be asked to contribute my expertise, my knowledge and experience in helping the residents who suffer from the disease. And remember that. It is a disease. Not necessarily curable, but it can be treated, managed, sustained, and people do get well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kenneth Thompson, who works at the Family Service Bureau, is not here. And Lisa Joseph is a very young, energetic woman who works for ADAPT as a regional organizer. She could not attend. The next person that is here is Ming Montello, who works for St. Barnabas Behavioral Health Network, and she will be our first vice chair.
Who's not here is Thomas.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ming Montello. As Jackie said, I've been working with Barnabas Healthcare System for the past 22 years. So I started when I was 10. No, I'm just kidding. I work as a drug and alcohol prevention specialist. For the past 12 years, I've been running life skills lessons based in schools. So I've been in schools in Newark, Irvington, as well as East Orange. And starting next week, I will be running life skills at the Collins Elementary School in Livingston. I'm happy to be part of LACADA, and this is first time actually being vice chair, so I'm very excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pascal Augustin.
My name is Pascal Augustine. Hi, my name is Pascal Augustine. I've been in this field for over 14 years. I currently am working as a consultant where I help organizations who are DOS licensed or working with mental health and addictions programs, help improve their services, develop their policies, procedures, develop different programs that can really engage the clients and helping them abstain from drug and alcohol usage, and also to maintain their mental stability. This also sparked my interest in being a member of the LACADA committee, which will also help help broaden my skills and also try to help give my advice and opinion in what kind of programs I will service the clients, and also help me decide to go back for my second master's degree in public administration, which hopefully I'll be done in May. And that's pretty much me. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Ackerman.
Good evening. Mark Ackerman. I am currently the admissions director for Integrity House here in Newark. We have two facilities, one here in Newark and one over in Secaucus. We are the largest substance abuse treatment provider in the state. We service all 21 counties. We have over 400 residential beds and another over 400 outpatient individuals that we service in the regional area. We have co-occurring mental health and substance abuse services. I've been in this position currently for about 18 months. Before that, I worked in outpatient substance abuse treatment mostly in Ocean County. I have a master's degree in social work from Monmouth University, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Louis Garley. Lou has been with the LACADA board as long as I've been the director of community health services, and before my time. He will be our chair.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. My background in substance abuse goes back about 40 years.
Louis, can you state your name and affiliation again for the record?
I'm sorry.
I know it's very repetitive.
Louis Garley, G-A-R-E-L-Y. I have been involved in substance abuse treatment and vocational rehabilitation of substance abusers for the last 40 years or so. My experience has been quite wide. I am presently volunteer unpaid director of a prison program in East Jersey State Prison run by the prisoners. And I'm an advisor, unpaid advisor to this group. And I'm very happy to continue serving as chairman of the COD.
Thank you.
As you can see, it's a very experienced, diverse group of people, and we think that it will bring a wealth of knowledge and energy to our LACADA board.
Thank you. Freeholder, do you have any questions or comments acknowledging Freeholder Bobadilla?
Thank you, Madam President. You know, Ms. Houston, I can tell you that I am overwhelmingly impressed with the life skills and the credentials that these individuals bring to our county. So thank, the administration for that assembly. I think it's a great addition. The only thing I want to ask of you, and it also involves myself, is that every year there's a grant, there's an RFP that comes out, I think from the state, for alcohol and drug abuse to all the municipalities. And I think for the past 3 years, Newark has not applied.
That is a different grant.
That is a different grant.
That's the Municipal Alliance Grant,
Okay.
which
Does it still fall under this committee? Would this committee even see that?
The Municipal Alliance Grant is for prevention.
Okay,
This is a grant for treatment.
okay.
They are connected, but they are separate, and this grant treats people all over the county.
Well, now that we're all aware, including myself, so thank you, I just want to encourage all of us to really approach Newark and really apply for that grant, because if they've missed it for the past 3 years, you know, it's something that cannot be missed. And I myself will be included in that. And if you can find out the timeline of that grant.
Unfortunately, we're in a 5-year plan now.
Okay.
So it will be a couple of years before
Okay.
Newark can reapply.
Gotcha, all right.
But I will keep you apprised of when, you know, at least a year before when Newark can reapply.
That'll be great.
And
Thank
maybe
you.
we can all work on
Thank you,
getting them.
Madam President.
Thank you. Acknowledging Freeholder Siebold.
Thank you. I have some comments. I read through all the resumes of all the people who are going to serve on this committee, and quite frankly, it's overwhelming how much experience they have in so many different areas. It's also amazing that they're willing to give their time to spend on this committee and do this important work. Another thing that I noticed was that they come from so many different towns right here in Essex County. In fact, there are a few people who don't live in Essex County, but they work in Essex County. As a matter of fact, Nicole Graves Watson lives in Hillside, and that's where I grew up, because I graduated from Hillside High School, and I know she lives in Hillside, so that means something to me. But of course, she's here in the prosecutor's office, so even the people who don't live in Essex County are busy spending their time working here in Essex County. And I know many of the people who are going to be on the committee, and I know of the wonderful work that they do. So I think, Jackie, you're really lucky to have such a great committee, and we're lucky that the county executive has recommended such wonderful people, and we're lucky that we're going to have this wonderful, wonderful group working and doing what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. We truly are delighted, and I guess a little bit encouraged that so many good people are working with us.
Thank you, Jackie. Freeholder Toro.
Yes, I see that there's a lot of new nominations. I'm very excited about, you know, bringing in so many qualified people. I too congratulate you and I'm happy to see that you're willing to put in your time, volunteer time, your expertise. Not only do you have a lot of members who are very educated, but also members who have personal experiences and have dealt with many populations. I am very happy to see a lot of diversity as far as coming from different industries or different populations, corrections, education, ambulatory, mental health. So I really enjoy to see so much diversity, and also to see that they're servicing populations of many ages, you know, children, youth, and adults. So again, thank you all for participating, and I look forward to see what this committee can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay. Oh, Freeholder Jones?
Yes, I would like to ask if when there are grants that municipalities can participate in, I would like to know the name of those particular grants, whereas I can take advantage of the municipalities that I live in, so they can start in time in terms of prevention or whatever.
Irvington does participate.
Well, maybe there may be new ones that is coming along since you are over this particular board, that just give me names.
Okay.
And that way I can talk to the administration to make sure that the people of Irvington, which is part of Essex County, receive the services that other municipalities.
I can't see it.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Mr. Bromwich, do you have a question or comment?
It's not it's more of a comment, if I may, Madam Freeholder. I just have to thank Jackie Eustine. She works for a department that's very small in numbers for county employees, but does a large amount of service for the county of Essex. I mean, her guidance in putting together boards such as this, I mean, it's amazing. And I've been working for the county for 33 years, and actually, I've never seen so many people come to the mic and explain what they do for an agency like this. So I really like what you're doing as far as the new Freeholder board. Bringing these people up there, I didn't know half of the things that have gone here, and I've been working for so many years. So I think it's really, it has value. And I want to thank Jackie Houston.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abramowitz.
And I also want to thank Roberto Alvarez, who worked very hard to help put this board together.
Thank you. And that is exactly the effect that I wanted this to have, for us to get to know what's happening in the county. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay, I just wanted to say, you know, meeting you all today, it's really touched my heart. You've actually brought me back to my first year of college when I did my work study through my financial aid at a place called Alley Counseling Center in a suburban area that didn't have many things for people to do. So what happens, you know, to the youth when there's not many activities, a lot of drug use. And it was amazing to see how spirited the counselors were. Some of them former, you know, users now teaching, and what better person than somebody who has been there to really explain. And I just watched how it changed their lives. And I learned an interesting fact, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I learned that alcohol detox is actually worse than heroin detox. And it's because the alcohol sort of replaces the water in the body, and you almost need it to survive after a while. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. And the work that you all are doing is simply amazing. So with that said, Madam Clerk, do we have a mover and a second? No, we're going to vote. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a conference.
It's a conference. Sorry. It threw me off when we voted the first time. This is a conference, so we'll vote at the next meeting.
We await your decision.
Yes, but thank you so much for coming forward.
That is easy.
Yeah, right. Okay, Madam Clerk, I see that resolution number 15 has been withdrawn. Can you please move to number 16 and 17 and read? With their reappointments for the Human Services Advisory Council.
Resolution 16, advise and consent nomination for the reappointment of Beverly Lynn to the Essex County Human Services Advisory Council. Resolution 17, advise and consent nomination for the reappointment of Sanford. I'm going to ask our administration to help me with the last name.
Flytel.
Flytel to the Essex County Mental Health Advisory Board.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abramowitz?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. We're actually requesting formal action for 16 and 17. These were advice and consents that could not make previous meetings. Beverly Lynn is for the Essex County Human Services Advisory Council, HASAC, and she's representing programs for parents. It's a term through 12/32/17. Ms. Lynn?
Good evening, Beverly Lynn, CEO of Programs for Parents, which is a child care resource and referral agency for Essex County. I've been working in the field of early education for over 30 years. Many of those years were spent right here at the county as director of the Essex County Office on Children when the county provided employer-supported child care. I currently co-chair the Child Care Committee for the Human Services Advisory Council.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz?
17 is advice and consent for the reappointment of Sandra Flytel, the Essex County Mental Health Advisory Board, representative of the Program for Parents, and we're also requesting formal action. The term is through 9/30/18. Ms. Flytel?
Good evening. My name is Sam Flytel. Proud to say that I'm a product of the city of Newark, born and raised in the Ironbound, educated in Newark, and a graduate of Rutgers University in Newark with a degree in psychology. I presently live in Nutley, New Jersey, where I own a business, Trio Jewelers. I've been a community activist most of my adult life. Past president of Rotary, past president of Nutley Family Service Bureau. I've always had an interest in psychology. Former member of the Northwest Essex Community Healthcare Network, and presently a board member at the Essex County Mental Health Board.
Thank you. Okay, freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Johnson?
Yes. One in particular I'd like to speak of is Miss Lynn. Miss Lynn has been around for quite some time, and I have witnessed her work, and to know that she's here to be reappointed is always a pleasure, Mrs. Lynn, and it's always a pleasure to be in your presence. And the gentleman, his background is just what we need to work with some of the people here in Essex County, and I'm proud that he has volunteered his time, and being a former Newarker, that's a big plus. So thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Bobadilla?
Ms. Lynn, I can tell you that as a director of organization who deals with adult learners, there's a lot of barriers in the urban environment, and if it were not for a program for parents, life would be significantly harder for these individuals. So I thank you for the role that you play in that. And Mr. Eitel, I just want to say that, you know, as a member of a business owner, and I don't know how you find the time to volunteer, but we are grateful that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much for your service. Program for Parents, you guys recently did something a few months ago for the grandparents that are raising their children, and it was a beautiful event. A lot of times, you know, people forget that a lot of parents are grandparents, you know, picking up that where their children have not been able to for various reasons. And I second Freeholder Bobadilla. Thank you for taking the time in your schedule to serve your community and be a community advocate for so long. So this one is actually going to go to vote because it was moved over from a previous meeting. Freeholders, do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 16 and 17 together as one? Moved by Freeholder Bobadilla, seconded by Freeholder Toro. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Toro.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Yes.
So moved.
Great, and congratulations. Okay, Madam Clerk, please move to Resolution number 18. Please read it.
Okay. Resolution 18, Office of the County Council Professional Services Agreement to provide legal representation in labor matters for Essex County, Genova Burns, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $200,000.
Okay, Mr. Bromas, can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President. Genova Burns has been working for the County of Essex in 2004. They have represented us in advice in connection with labor negotiations, arbitrations, and employment matters, and all labor matters requiring county counsel.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Mr. Palavecchio?
No, I just know that there's a member of the firm here in the audience. If, Madam President, you wanted to hear from him.
Yes, I do.
Brian?
Madam President, if I may introduce first James Paganelli from the Office of County Counsel. While ordinarily on older matters or pending matters we don't bring counsel back, Brian thought it important, Mr. Genova thought it was important that they come down and at least say hi. They recognize there were new freeholders, so they wanted to make sure that you're familiar at least with their face. So we appreciate Brian coming down and I'd like him to come up just to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the Freeholder Board. Thank you very much for having me or having us. Brian Cronick, Managing Member of Genova Burns LLC here in Newark, right around the corner. As Mr. Abramovich said, we've been doing some of the Labor Council work for the county for a number of years. Appreciate doing that and look forward to continuing working with the Freeholder Board and the county in furthering the labor relations agenda. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer those, and certainly will be available, tonight or following, the meeting with the vote. We'll be here as well. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ms. Lam, did you have any questions? Okay. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Oh, yeah, Freeholder Jones?
Well, I need to ask you, in terms of Labor Council, how many do we have? How many firms that represents us in the Labor Council?
Mr. Paganelli, would you like to?
Madam President, through you, James Paganelli from the Office of County Counsel. This is our only outside labor council at this point.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, Freeholders? Okay, hearing none. Madam Clerk, does that satisfy your answer?
I said I just wanted to know.
Okay, thank you. It's a good question. Madam Clerk, let's move to resolution number 19. Please list resolution number 18.
Okay. Resolution 19, the Office of County Counsel Professional Services Agreement to provide special outside counsel services on various construction projects. Issues Conal Foley, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $75,000.
Okay, Mr. Abramowitz?
Yes, Madam President. Conal Foley, his role is a special project for legal counsel, reviews all construction contracts and bids, as well as change orders, contract closures, disputes, and contracting performance.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Ms. Lam? No. Okay, Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please list it and move to resolution number 20. Please read it.
Resolution 20, Office of the County Counsel Professional Services Agreement regarding the collection of unpaid fines and penalties for various environmental violations imposed by the county's Department of Health and its authorized subcontractor agencies, Piro, Zena, Cefelli, Paris, and Ginatempo, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015.
Mr. Abramowitz?
Yes, Madam President. Piro, Zena, Cefelli, Paris, and Gentempo. This is a no-cost firm to receive compensation on a contingent basis. They receive 1/4 of all fines and penalties recovered without court action and 1/3 of all fines and penalties with court action. This is for collection of unpaid fines and penalties for primarily commercial recycling violations, not using proper containers, not separating, and not using proper equipment supplies.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, just to dovetail on what Mr. Abramowitz said, this firm doesn't have a specified contract amount, but they do receive payment based on what they help collect for the county.
Okay. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Richardson.
Yeah, my question is, so this contract is from January 1st, 2015. So are they already in the process of doing this work? Are they working without a contract at this particular time?
Madam President, through you, effectively, yes, Freeholder. They recognized, or I recognized early on, we brought the pools to the former Freeholder Board probably back in November or October, set up those pools. Then we try to wrap up prior year's bills, and then once we're done with 2014 bills, we come forward with all of our contracts. So yeah, they've worked for January.
Okay.
So this would be retroactive to January 1st?
January 1st through December 31st.
Is that a normal custom for agencies or folks that you work with to work without a contract?
Madam President, through you, historically that is how we've set up these contracts. Certainly on a go forward, if the board would like us to try to set up pools, award contracts, and take care of prior year's bills in the same month, we can try to set that up.
Freeholder Richardson, does that satisfy your
Yes.
questions? Okay. Any other freeholders have any questions or comments? Freeholder Toro?
Do you have a rough idea of what's the outstanding debt in penalties and fines? And if not, if we can get that information at a later date?
Madam President, through you, I know you requested that the other day. We're still working on that. This is not a large sum contract, but we'll get you the numbers.
Okay, please do. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Freeholder Jones?
For this particular contract, does it go out to bid, or is just an appointment of a particular agency to do that? Or just how is it, you know?
Mr. Paganelli?
Madam President, through you, in accordance with pay-to-play, we set up pools of counselors. So these pools were set up last year. Then, when particular legal issues will come up, we will select from that pool. If we think a firm has not, if we think our pool is insufficient to address certain needs, we'll go and re-RFP it, or we'll RFP it again. This firm historically has replied to a specific RFP regarding these services.
Freeholder Jones, does that satisfy your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, please list it, Madam Clerk. Let's move to resolution number 21.
Resolution 21, Office of County Counsel Professional Service Agreement to provide county adjuster investigations for 2015. Richard Childs, CPA, CFE, $35,000.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz?
Sure, Madam President. The county justice is responsible for determining the legal settlement and financial abilities established for each county individual receiving care and services at the hospital center or other state institutions. To meet statutory requirements, the county must retain services of a professional licensed investigator to perform the county adjuster investigations. And this is actually 85% reimbursed from the state of New Jersey.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, any questions or comments?
No, no questions.
Ms. Sol- oh, okay. Freeholders? Freeholder Luciano?
Yeah, I apologize, Madam President, but after we're done with 21, could we just revisit 20? I had a question for Mr. Paganelli. Thank you.
Freeholders, any questions or comments on 21? Okay, hearing none, please list it, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
I will accept the request of Freeholder Luciano to go back to resolution number 20. And Freeholder Luciano, ask your question.
Yeah, through you, Madam President, Mr. Paganelli, and I don't know if I caught this or I missed it. I noticed that Resolution 20 is a contract that's paid out, I guess, on a third or a quarter of whatever is returned for fines. Over the last few years, like, what's the average amount, like numbers, dollar signs, as far as the fines that we've recovered? I'm just curious. Do you have that information?
Madam President, through you, I know you requested that the other day. We will provide that to you. And Freeholder, you're correct. It is on a contingency fee basis, so their fee goes up if we're required to do court actions and things like that. But we'll get the report through the President to the Board.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paganelli.
Is everyone clear on 20? Okay. Pat's smiling at me. Madam Clerk, please list it, and let's go to Resolution 22.
Resolution 22, Office of County Counsel Professional Services Agreement to provide legal services regarding County Corrections Officer PBA Local Number 382 et al. Versus County of Essex et al. Wolf Sampson, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $50,000.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Madam President, I defer to the county counsel to explain this one, please.
Mr. Paganelli?
Yes, Madam President, this is a lawsuit that was brought a few years ago by the PBA. It challenges the county's authority or power to utilize Delaney Hall, where we send some of our inmates for treatment and for educational services. The county was successful at the trial level in having the matter dismissed. The county, it was then appealed. It was actually appealed in a quirky way twice because arguments were made in front of an appellate division panel. And then after arguments, it was determined that one of the judges sitting on the panel had a conflict, so we had to re-argue it in front of the panel. And that matter now, the appellate division has come back with a decision that affirms that we have the authority to do it, we have the power to do it, but they've referred it back for a plenary hearing to make sure that we're doing it, if that makes sense. And that issue has now been brought up to the Supreme Court. So we're waiting on that.
Okay. Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Ms. Slum? No questions? Okay. Freeholders, questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Oh, Freeholder Toro.
I'm just wondering, from the commencement of this, how long has this been going on?
I don't know, Mr. Abramowitz, if your notes have the exact docket number on it, but it's been, probably I would have to say it started in 13. But we'll get through the president, the docket, so you know exactly the dates.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Polavecchio?
Yeah. Mr. Paganelli, it's a 2012 docket.
Thank you, sir.
So sometime in 2012, Freeholder.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Madam Clerk, please list it. Let's move to resolution number 23. Please read.
Resolution 23, Office of County Counsel, Professional Services Agreement to provide legal services regarding K. Hanavian Companies Northeast Incorporated versus County of Essex and Essex County Improvement Authority et al., Dakotas Fitzpatrick and Cole, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $80,000.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz?
Again, Madam Chair, I defer to the county council.
Madam President, I think the board is aware, we've discussed this in work sessions. This is the ongoing lawsuit involving Hilltop. The board is aware that Cedar Grove and K. Hovnanian are going through a process by which they're analyzing a new redevelopment plan. We are still working on settlement documents with K. Hovnanian. So it's our hope that if Cedar Grove moves their items along, that we'll get this wrapped up really through settlement rather than through litigation. But that's why we have this contract.
Mr. Polavecchio?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Ms. Salam? Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, please list it and move to resolution number 24. Please read.
Resolution 24, Office of the County Counsel, Professional Services Agreement to provide legal services regarding New United Corporation versus County of Essex and Essex County Improvement Authority, Lum, Drasco, Positan, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $55,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain?
Not to sound redundant, Madam Chair, but I'm going to defer to the county council for this one as well.
Mr. Paganelli, would you like to have a seat?
You want some water, Jim?
Okay.
Madam President, I almost apologize for bringing another contract for this matter. This matter's been around since 2004. With the board's final actions tonight, we believe that this matter is completely settled. Mr. Parlavecchio and I were exchanging high fives through each other's dolphin-like telepathy here, but this contract will allow me to finish up some loose paperwork. There's also some experts we're paying through the firm for this. We expect to have money on hand as a result of your vote tonight. By the end of March, we hope to close the beginning of April. And then I think you're going to just see a spectacular school for the children of this county. So I think it's a good deal. So.
Thank you. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Ms. Salam, any questions or comments? Mr. Polavecchio?
Only to say that, I know I said it once before, but Jim has really worked extremely hard to get this very difficult case resolved, and resolved in a very positive way for the county. So I'm happy to see, not that I think the council did a bad job, but the outside council did a bad job, but I'm glad to see this is the last contract we'll have on this.
Freeholder Siebold?
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio said pretty much the same thing I was going to say. I would like to commend Jim Paganelli for doing such a wonderful job. This item, this problem has been we've been dealing with this problem in Essex County. It started when I first became a freeholder. It's been going on for so many years, and I am just really, well, I can't believe that it's finally coming to an end. I just can't believe it, and I have to really congratulate you, Jim, for doing such a great job and actually bringing this to conclusion. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I just want to say again, congratulations on bringing this to a close for a nice, bright beginning with the school. And I'm so excited that the administration has let me know that we will be putting together a committee made up of us freeholders as well as members of the community, because it's going to serve the community, not just only, high school students or vocational school students. It's going to actually be a resource center for the location in which it's in, and a location that I'm very familiar with that is in dire need of that. So thank you. Please, hearing no other questions or comments, please list it, Madam Clerk, and move to resolution number 25. Please read.
Resolution 25, Office of the County Administrator, authorizing renewal of the county commercial property insurance policy for the Essex County Correctional Facility with affiliated FM Insurance Company for the period January 1st, 2015 through January 1st, 2016 at an annual premium of $398,420.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abramowitz.
Yes, Madam President. As Madam Clerk explained, this is a renewal contract for commercial property insurance policy for Essex County Correctional Facility. We have the Essex County Risk Manager, Ike Jenkins, here with us this evening, and he can explain to you what the policy is about.
Good evening to all. My name is Ike Jenkins, County Risk Manager for the County of Essex. I'm here tonight to introduce the renewal of the Essex County Correctional Facilities commercial property insurance policy. The policy runs as stated from January 1 of each year. There are only two changes in this year's policy, one being an increase in the, as respects to the flood limits from $5 million to $10 million. And this was achieved by the completion and submission of a flood emergency response plan that was submitted to the income carrier. As you may remember, before the Sandy term, we had a $100 million limit, dropped to 5, and we finally got it back up to 10, which we found was acceptable for this type of exposure. The other change to the policy is an increase in premium, policy premium. Policy premium increased about $16,000, 4.36%. The market indications from the brokers who are here with me showed that the alternative prices were $60,000 to $75,000 more expensive, 4 times the increase that the incumbent carrier provided. So hence, the incumbent carrier was the best option for the county. Those are the only two changes in this year's policy.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a comment, Madam President. I had a chance to speak with Mr. Jenkins prior to the meeting, and I think he's done a very good job quarterbacking this through the brokers of keeping a lid on increased premiums. We had some substantial losses suffered at the correctional facility after Hurricane Sandy, so I would say we're probably in a vulnerable position, but he was able to really minimize the amount of increase that we're seeing here in this contract.
Okay, thank you. And for clarification for the administration, last meeting we mentioned, and quite a few of us agreed, that we would like for anyone who coming before us for an amount over $100,000 to be present. Mr. Palavecchio, do you feel that having the vendor present for this one is necessary?
Well, I think if that's our policy, yes, I think it's important to do that. I don't know, I'm just thinking in terms of an insurance company, it would be difficult to get that person. We do have the brokers here who were the conduit between the county and the insurance company. Perhaps they can give some insight into the type of policy it is.
That would be wonderful.
Good.
Good evening, Brian Erlandson from BGIA. This policy involves the property insurance for the correctional facility, both the real property, the building, and all the contents within, including also business interruption, extra expense, which was, excuse me. As Mr. Jenkins mentioned earlier, this policy was tested quite a bit, most recently with the Sandy event. And the insurance carrier involved came through with a check payment without any delay, and the service, I think we can agree, has been stellar on the carrier's part. And their offering for this renewal has been aggressive. And the issue on flood insurance is very important. And because of the location of the facility, it's a huge exposure for the correctional facility. So we felt that the additional limits were very valuable to the county and the correctional facility this year to increase.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Luciano?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. For Councilor Parlavecchio, it's my understanding that government agencies are asked to keep things under a cap every year of 2%. Am I not mistaken by making that comment on the record?
For a budget.
For budget,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to put that on the record, because to follow the question up that I have would be, you know, the insurance companies have really been giving us a tough time, because this increase in our insurance is roughly, what, over 4%? So when we see increases, you know, over 2%, that really puts us in a position, you know, where we say to ourselves, now we have to raise taxes. And I just want to put that on the record, that I'm not really happy to continue to see insurance companies come in front of this government agency and other government agencies over a 2% increase. Because how can we live under our cap for our constituents? I mean, I just want to put that on the record. I know you're the broker and you've probably done the best job that you can do. You know, but this is a question that I ask, you know, at what point do we draw the line with increases?
And if I could reply to that, just to clarify, the offering from the insurance carrier this year was actually a flat renewal at the limits that, excuse me, the limits that were in place. The $16,000 difference is actually doubling the flood limit on the policy. So if that puts a bit into perspective, that might.
So, okay, so then let me make this.
Luciano.
Just sorry, through you, Madam President, just for the understanding then, because I guess it wasn't clarified, and we should clarify it on the record. There's a lot of folks in the audience and a lot of people watching TV. It was stated that there's a 4% increase this year than last year.
Overall.
Overall, but that's not because of just the flatline policy. We're actually adding to our policy, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that makes more sense. I appreciate you clarifying that on the record. Also makes me a lot more comfortable voting for it. Thank you.
Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Please list it, Madam Clerk. Let's move to resolution number 26. Please read.
Resolution 26, Superintendent of Elections and Commissioner of Registrations Contract Award with County Business Systems to provide printing of digitized poll books for 2015 and 16, amount not to exceed $275,000.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz?
Yes, Madam President. This is a 2-year contract with County Business Systems. They're a new vendor for this particular contract, but not new to the County of Essex. It was a publicly advertised, fair, and open RFP. 4 firms submitted proposals from 28 potential vendors, and this was the highest score. And the vendor, Mr. Joseph Lennon, is here if you have questions.
Thank you.
Madam President, Madam Director, members of the Board of Freeholders, my name is Joseph Lennon. I'm the Vice President of County Business Systems, and our company's been providing digitized poll book service to the state of New Jersey for over 20 years now. In fact, we were the first company to print a digitized poll book in Hunterdon County, and over the last 20 years, we've printed poll books in Gloucester County, Camden County, Mercer County, Middlesex County, Hudson County, Passaic County, a number of counties, and we also print voter registration lists, so we're very familiar with the process. And we've helped the counties. You hear me all right? Thank you. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. We worked with the counties as well when they switched to the new SVRS system. And those of you that are familiar with the elections, there were quite a few bugs in that, so we're pretty familiar with all the changes that, with the new software that's out these days and the changes that are constantly being made. We're very familiar with that and how to deal with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, Ms. Salam? Okay. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please list it and move to resolution number 27, please.
Resolution 27, Department of Corrections authorization to begin exporting electricity and implement a demand response plan through the county's approved facility operator, DCO Energy.
Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Yes, Madam President. The county has a combined heating, chilling, and power facility on the correction facility grounds. Under a 20-year agreement, DCO Energy operates and maintains the facility. By the agreement, the county can sell excess electricity and thermal energy, and that's what this agreement is going to do. And I have Deputy Director David Boyd here if you need more explanation.
Yes, David Boyd, Deputy Director, Essex County Corrections. I also serve as the facility manager down there. Through you, Madam Chair. I'm not really, I know some of the freeholders have been here for a little while, and most of you are new, so I'm not sure. I don't want to bore you with a lot of history. So I'm going to ask through you, Madam Chair, what exactly you would want to know on this. I'll give you a little bit of history. The county administrator has already said the Essex County Correctional Facility has its own power generation plant on its grounds. We produce our own electricity. We recapture the byproduct of that production, which is heat, and we use it to provide our steam and hot water as well. Within that 20-year agreement for the operator of the facility, because it is the county's facility, there is a clause in that there was a plan always to take the excess energy, the energy that the facility doesn't need, and to sell it out to offset the cost of the operation and debt of that facility. We agreed that every time we did that, we would come before the Freeholder Board. We did it early on in the process with a building behind us called Preferred Freezer. We're doing it again now where we're selling the remainder of the excess of the energy directly to the public utility through their energy grid. This agreement you have here is the furtherance of that process. It's the continuation of what is already existing in their cogen contract, but the process of exporting that electricity.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions?
Just a question about how are we measuring the revenue back to the county? What is there a percentage that the county gets based on what we sell back?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, there's certain price points that have been established with the public utility for when we will actually export to them, and certain need-based triggers to the public utility for when we would export to them. Our agreement currently, taking into all these factors and the factors of operation of the facility, is 60% to the county and 40% to the operators.
Ms. Freeholder Bobadilla?
You know, reading the material, I can tell you that I like the agreement, because according to the material, is DCO incurs all the expenses, and I think last year about $443,000 to the county.
Well, when you approve it, it will bring $440,000.
Okay. I think it's a, I think that was well thought out. One of my concerns was what happened during Hurricane Sandy? Was this infrastructure in any jeopardy?
Through you, Madam Chairwoman, yeah, the entire facility was jeopardized by the effects of Sandy, and You just heard from our insurance carrier. They're leveraging a lot of risk right now with Newark Bay being directly behind us. So the facility, at the highest point of Sandy, I'm 6'1", and when we were walking through the warehouse yard, the water was up to my neck and my chin for the facility. So you can imagine that all the electric infrastructure that's around the facility, even though it's elevated, was at some point damaged or jeopardized. They corrected that in 2 days. We were operational in 2 days. So anything that you see now is fairly repaired or new or cleaned up or restored. The infrastructure for this particular project, as you noted, Freeholder, had to be added. So in actuality, it's new and was not even touched by Sandy.
So in other words, this resolution that's coming before us today, it's an expansion of the program that we've been having.
Through you, Madam Chairwoman, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Freeholders, any other questions? Freeholder Toro?
Just a comment that I really like when the administration finds creative revenue generating efforts that otherwise would be funds lost for the county. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much. I'd like to see anything that this department is generating as funds other than, the ICE program and generating funds basically off of others' mishaps. Can't always be relied on, and it's not always the nicest thing. So this is good to see another source that's going to generate revenue, that does generate revenue.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, hearing no other questions or comments, please list it, and let's move on to resolution number 28.
Resolution 28, Department of Health and Rehabilitation, Office of the Mental Health Administrator, approval of sub-grant agreements with 5 service providers to provide mental health service for behavioral challenged youth and their caregivers. 1-year agreement not to exceed $391,040.
Thank you, Mr. Abramowitz. Can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President. This is a 1-year agreement, as Madam Clerk said, not to exceed $391,000. It's for the Office of Mental Health Administrator, and we have the Director, Dr. Joseph Scarpelli, here who can explain.
Good evening, Madam President and freeholders. I'm Joe Scarpelli. I'm the Mental Health Administrator. Thanks, Gary. Good. This is funded through a grant through the New Jersey Department of Children and Families. It was through a competitive contract bid. We received 8 proposals from 5 different agencies, and we're funding all 8.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Is the vendor here?
The vendors are not here, no.
Okay. Ms. Salam, do you have any questions or comments? Mr. Abramowitz, the vendor's not here.
I just want to mention, Madam President, all the vendors are under $20,000.
Okay.
I'm sorry, under $100,000, but they're averaging $20,000.
But they averaging $20,000. Give me one moment.
My math is not that great, Madam President. Actually, if you want, I can go through the individuals of the costs that they're receiving.
That'd be
Would
very
that be
helpful.
Okay. We have contractor Cope Center Seeking Safety, $20,000. Cope Center Empower, $40,000. Cope Center Parenting Support, $60,000. Main Street Counseling Enhancing Youth, $55,000. Main Street Counseling Helping Student, $55,000. Family Connections Coordinated Care, $56,555. Children Aid and Family Service, WISE, $48,985. And Family Service Bureau of Newark, PEI, $55,500.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Libby Jones?
Those providers, are they all located in Essex County?
Yes, they are.
And how many would be in the city of Newark?
Well, they all provide services throughout Essex County and in the city of Newark. They all do provide services in the city of Newark.
I do have the sorry.
Family Service Bureau is located in Newark. That's the only one that's located in Newark.
Madam Chair, is it possible we could get some numbers as to how many agencies and how many people, residents that they have served during the years? Or the last
Yes,
2 or 3
I believe
years?
that's possible to get some
This is
reports
a-
on some of the nonprofits and, to let us know that they're
These are all
working.
well-known agencies, Madam
Yes, I'm
President.
very familiar
and we
with
can
Family
get-
Connections.
We can get numbers of who they serve throughout the county in the different programs they provide. This is a new contract, so getting numbers from last year would not help us in this matter.
And Madam Chair, I do have the addresses if you're interested.
Yes.
Okay.
Just which ones are located in Newark? You just read the names.
Okay, they're in the packet, but I can just read them off quickly. Cope Center is 104 Bloomfield Avenue, Montclair. Main Street Counseling is 8 Marcella Avenue, West Orange. Family Connections is 7 Glenwood Street in East Orange. Children's Aid and Family Service is 200 Robin Road, Paramus. Family Service Bureau of Newark is 274 South Orange Avenue, Newark.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments?
I would like to know how many clients that they have served. in
Yes,
Essex
ma'am.
County.
Yes, ma'am. We are going to make sure that they have that information for us. So we're taking this is our conference, we're absorbing the information. We are requesting that the administration have some of the nonprofits provide some type of reporting based off of demographics and their successes, and their success. So,
We provide that, Madam President, absolutely.
thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, please list it, Madam Clerk, and let's move to resolution number 29. Please read.
Resolution number 29, 2015 grant agreement and temporary emergency appropriations from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for Community Services Block Grant, Division of Community Action, $316,518.
Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Madam President, actually 29, 30, 31, and 32 all go together, so
Okay.
if
So, Madam Clerk, please read, and we'll take advisement on
Okay.
all those.
Resolution 30, Department of Citizen Services, Division of Community Action, Subgrant Agreement with East Orange Community Development Corp. to provide services under the Community Services Block Grant Program, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $75,331.52. Resolution 31, Department of Citizen Services, Division of Community Action Subgrant Agreement with the Township of Irvington Neighborhood Improvement Corp. to provide services under the Community Services Block Grant Program, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $62,037.98. Also 32?
32 as well?
yes.
Resolution 32, Department of Citizen Services, Division of Community Action, Subgrant Agreement with Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation to provide services under the Community Services Block Grant Program, January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015, $128,505.50.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President. 29 is actually the the grant agreement for the $316,518 divided amongst the 3 different groups. The 3 agencies are all approved state, local, nonprofit delegate agencies. The Essex Department of Citizen Services Division of Community Action is a community action designated as the grantee for the County of Essex under the Community Service Block Grant CBDG program administered through the state of New Jersey by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. Under the statewide allocation plan for the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, the County of Essex is to execute a community action program designed to provide to low-income, poverty-stricken county residents who reside in East Orange, Irvington, Belleville, Bloomfield, Montclair. The services to be provided will assist the eligible population in sustaining and achieving economic and social self-sufficiency and include but not limited to employment, counseling, placement, education, and career training, housing assistance, emergency assistance, food, and youth services. The 3 are 30 would be the East Orange Community Development Corporation, and they would receive $75,331.52. 31 is the Township of Irvington Neighborhood Improvement Corporation, and they would receive $62,037.98. And lastly would be the Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation, and they would receive $128,505.50.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Ms. Salam? No? Freeholder Richardson?
Yeah, I have a question. What are they doing in Montclair that Irvington, that they're not doing in Irvington? What are they doing in East Orange that they're not doing in Irvington? Why the disparity in funds? Why is Montclair getting $128,000 and Irvington's getting $62,000? I think there's more low-income and poverty-stricken people in Irvington than there are in Montclair. Just in my estimation. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
Through you, Madam President, the funds are allocated based upon client usage and client need from the state of New Jersey. So if you wanted me to get you a breakdown as to actually how many were used in Irvington, Montclair, and the others, I could do that for you.
That would be very helpful. 'Cause I'd like to know why Montclair gets so much more than a city like, a township of Irvington, who I know is in much more dire straits than the city of Montclair.
I had, through you, Madam President, I had expected the director to be here this evening, but he took ill. So I will relay your question to him, get the information back to you.
Thank you.
Freeholder Libby Jones?
I know from Township of Irvington, it is in need, it's in dire need of assistance for poor people. And it's a disparity of who decides that? What individual, does it go before a board as to who get what and where? Because Irvington is a distressed city. And we have more people who are in need of assistance, poor people who are unemployed, can't pay their rent and food, and to give one municipality that's considered is suburbia middle class, 100 and some, and there is one in dire need, 62. There's something wrong with that, and I would like more information as to how he arrived at those numbers.
Mr. Palavecchio?
To try to add to this, I don't know that this is the answer, but I'm just looking into the resolution, and it seems like the one that's slated for Montclair not only serves the residents of Montclair, but also Bloomfield and Belleville, perhaps because it services 3 communities, that number is higher. But I would certainly defer to the director, and I think it would be wise for the director to be here at next week's meeting.
Madam President, I'm sorry.
Freeholder Siebold?
Doesn't it also have something to do with the population in those various communities? Because it certainly differs. East Orange has many more people than, say, Irvington. So your numbers are not going to be the same from town to town, depending upon the population.
Through you, Madam President, it goes through client request and client need. That's correct. But I think to clarify this, the best thing to do would be to go back, revisit how these numbers on these resolutions were determined, and get back to you. That's probably the best way to do it.
And I know that in some cases it takes in some other towns, where Mr. Palavecchio just said about Montclair. I know that that's the case.
Correct. I think we all can agree that all the towns listed here do have a certain need, and, you know, that's probably the best way to do it, if I may.
Madam Chairman,
Freeholder
I would
Jones?
hope that my colleagues would not try to do rationalization as to how the money is appropriated. Let's allow the professionals to do that and give me a report of us, a report as to how the money is distributed.
Well noted. And administration, we're asking that you do provide us with that information before it's time to vote on this.
We will have the information by the end of the week, yes, of course.
Okay. I'm going to give you a moment.
I'm sorry?
Okay. I have a question regarding East Orange Community Development Corporation. I asked this question in leadership meeting. Do we have a representative from East Orange CDC?
We do not, Madam President.
Okay, I'd like a representative from East Orange CDC to come and field my questions for them at the next meeting. There has been some legal issues surrounding this organization, and again, I support nonprofits and organizations that work and that are good. I stand upon ethics in the nonprofit arena. That's the only thing that you have is your reputation. And I'm not too sure, about the allegations, and I would really like to meet them in person and give them an opportunity to explain what is going on.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, please list it.
Madam President, from 29 to 32?
Yes, please list number 29 through 32. And let's move on to resolution number 33. Please read.
Madam President, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just a quick question. So are we going to, point of clarification, so are we going to have just the director back, or are we going to have also the representatives? Are we going to also request representatives from these three organizations?
Yes.
Okay, so the director and the three reps from each of the
Yes.
individual. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
That's fine.
Please read resolution number 33.
Resolution 33, Department of Economic Development, Training and Employment Division of Training and Employment Contract Amendment with Essex County College to provide education services to out-of-school youth under the Workforce Investment Act, October 15, 2014 through June 15, 2015. Additional amount not to exceed $60,000 grant funding.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Yes, Madam President. This is to provide high school equivalency prep for 40 eligible out-of-school youth. The original contract was for $52,020 for basic skills for 30 clients, and the new maximum would be for total both $112,020. And we have Sam Opariki here if you have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, good evening, Madam President.
Good evening.
The Freeholders. My name is Samuel Opariki. I'm the Executive Director of the Essex County Workforce Investment Board and also the one-stop manager. The contract before you is an amended contract for $60,000 to serve 40 out-of-school youth with GED prep with Essex County College. Originally, we were serving 30 kids, and we identified the need for GED prep, and we approached Essex County College to amend and extend that contract.
Thank you. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, so you were previously serving 30 youth.
For adult basic education. So it was a transition. So when they come in, we do adult basic education tests, and we identify, we know what grade they're in. So we go through a series of succession. So it was adult basic education, and we identified that these kids were improving and they needed to go further so they can get ready for the GED and also to further their education. So that's how that came about.
Okay, so there was 30 that you were serving for adult education.
For adult basic education, yes,
Right.
ma'am.
And the need for an advancement occurred, and now you're saying that there will be 40 that will go for GED
Additional,
prep.
yes, yes.
40 additional on top of the 30?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Freeholder Bobadilla?
Thank you. People use the term GED and high school equivalency diploma interchangeably, but they're entirely different. Does this program allow for the assessments into the HiSET and the task as well?
Absolutely,
Okay.
because there's been a change. So
Okay.
every institution that provides the services has made the change, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, please list it, Madam Clerk. And let's move on to resolution number 35.
34.
34.
Resolution 34, 2015, temporary emergency appropriation from the State of New Jersey, Department of State of New Jersey, State Council on the Arts for FY15 Local Arts Program, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, amount $124,836.
Thank you. Mr. Bromwitz, can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President, actually 34 is the funding for 35.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please read 35 as well.
Resolution 35, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, approval of sub-grant agreement for the 2015 Local Arts Program grant under New Jersey State Council on the Arts, amount not to exceed $120,836.
Thank you. Mr. Bromwitz?
Yes, Madam President. This is from the Department of Parks, approval of sub-grant agreement for the Local Arts Program grant. There are 51 nonprofit organizations that we provided to the Freeholder Board for your review. The total grant is $124,836. The $4,000 balance between that and the $120,836 is for training and peer paneling, and we have Kate Hartwick, who is the Director of Cultural and Historic Affairs, here to explain the program.
Thank you.
Good evening. Kate Hartwick, Director of Cultural and Historic Affairs for the County of Essex.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, we receive funding from the State Council on the Arts to support local arts programs. The funds are then re-granted out through an application process. We also set aside some money for the administration of the grant. That's the $3,000 for the peer panel review. We bring in experts from throughout the county that represent different disciplines of the arts to review the applications themselves. And then we set aside $1,000 to conduct workshops with our grantees regarding budgeting and applications.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Freeholders, do you have any questions? Freeholder Siebold?
Thank you. I see from the information that we received in the packet that there were 51 different groups that received money. Were there groups that applied that did not get money?
Yes, there were 53 applications to the program. One application was ineligible because they received funding directly from the State Council on the Arts, and therefore they cannot also receive funding from us as a county agency. And the second organization did not meet our minimum score criteria, which is a 60%.
And all the others did receive the money?
Yes.
And the amount varies from one to the other. And some got what they asked for, some got much less. That was determined by those who were analyzing how much they should get?
Through you, Madam President, yes, that is correct. There is a peer panel that provides a numerical score for each of the applications, and then a second panel which determines the funding levels based on those scores, as well as an applicant's funding history. So if they've failed to meet reporting deadlines or things like that, they may be penalized.
I think it's wonderful that there were 51 who received money, and there's some from so many different communities in Essex County. That's really great. Thank you. Thanks for the good work.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Freeholder Bobadilla.
When does this notification go out for the application?
Applications are made available via an online grant system June 1st of each year with a deadline of the first week of August. The notices are placed in all of our county publications, and also we maintain a mailing list of past applicants and those who've reached out to us over the course of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Freeholder Jones?
I'm so happy that the different parks are receiving funds and grants for their programs, but what behooves me is that Irvington Park has not received anything, and I was told by the person who runs that department is that Irvington is locked down during the winter months, so therefore there's no personnel in our parks. So how would we be able to provide this cultural interaction with the community and our children or whatever when no one is there but a locked bathroom?
Through you, Madam President, Irvington Park, I believe the organization you're referring to did not apply to this specific program. I think you're maybe referring to the contracts that are coming up later in the agenda.
There is no one works full-time in the recreational parks of Irvington. I was told in the winter that the bathroom is closed. Is there a full-time employee who works in the cultural aspect of the park of Essex County? No. Is there
Freeholder
a
Jones?
part-time person that works in Essex County Irvington Park? No. So what happened to the services that the residents of Irvington should receive?
Freeholder
And they
Jones?
can't receive it unless someone is there to supervise, because there is a new building that is not utilized and is sit dormant throughout the year. Okay,
Yes, so we're going to convene a meeting for you on that issue. It's a separate issue from this one here. This comes out of the Parks and Recreation and Cultural Affairs and gets divided up between nonprofits that are providing services in the areas of arts, sort of in a way supplementing the programs that have been cut throughout the school. Now, what I hear you saying is that Irvington had previously applied.
They're eligible to apply if they are a nonprofit organization or as
From
a
Irvington.
municipality.
So it's a nonprofit organization from Irvington that would apply for these funds. And that issue, although very valid, we will organize a meeting and address that at a different time for you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please list it, and let's move to resolution number 36.
Okay. Resolution 36, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract with Weequahic Park Sports Authority to provide comprehensive recreational services and activities at Weequahic Park, March 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2017, amount not to exceed $168,000.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Yes, Madam President. This is from Weequahic Park Sports Authority, provide comprehensive recreation services. It is a 3-year contract going from March 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2017. The time it's used, though, is from March to December. So it's actually 10-month contracts, three 10-month contracts. It was a publicly advertised, fair and open RFP. We received 2 responses from 18 bidders. It comes to $5,600 a month, and we provide you with a list of services that the Weequahic Park Sports Authority will provide. And it's the current vendor as well.
And what's the duration of it?
It goes from March 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2017.
10 months throughout each year.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Freeholders, any questions or comments? Freeholder Bobadilla?
You know, this resolution, along with the 3 resolutions that follow, all deal with these recreational activity services throughout our parks, and I think they're real vital because, as we know, certain municipalities do have budget cuts, and the number one thing they cut is after-school programs, recreational activities, which I think is vital to you know, we need to keep working on creating young leaders and providing an outlet for these individuals to do after school. And so I think, you know, I'm in full support of this, and I'm glad that Weequahic Park is engaged because they've been wanting this for a long time.
Yes. And do we have a representative from the Weequahic Park Sports Authority that would like to say something?
We do.
Douglas Freeman, Weequahic Park Sports Authority President. Just like to give a little overview of some of the things that we have done thus far for some of the new freeholders that's here. Through sweat equity, we was able to restore Judge Booker Paddleball Court. Through the grace of our freeholders, they gave us some funding and we was able to bring back this historical part of Weequahic Park. We have done horticulture programs, cleaning up the park, the trees. Also, we deal with Dan Cervanti directly, and it has been a great relationship. It was a little rocky in the beginning, but now we starting to work that we know a little bit more about how government works. It's not as fast as we thought it would be, but it's happening. And now we're sitting with the county each month. We're bringing in the NFL flag football. I mentioned the tennis that we're doing. We're looking to bring our kids from Essex County and the city of Newark to be inside off the ash tennis. We bringing the top notch of everything. We just made a deal with the state of New Jersey to do deep sea diving. That's going to be a 2-year course. And we're now working with the city of Newark, and we're going to work with St. Peter's Recreation. So we're going to also offset the senior cafe, where their seniors is going to come to our cafe, and our seniors is going to go to the city of Newark. So we actually sharing the resources throughout the city and the county. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Freeholders. Freeholder Richardson.
Yeah, I also want to commend Woodway Sports Authority for all the work that they do in their dedication, commitment, and persistence, and their obligation and commitment to the folks of the South Ward and their willingness to partner and work with others. So what you're doing is commendable, and I too, like Freeholder Bovadilla, there are a lot of cuts in recreation and arts programs throughout, the public schools and those kinds of things. So our youngsters need an outlet. They need somewhere to go and some structured, activities after school and that kind of stuff and during the summer. So keep up the good work, and hopefully you can double this money and get some more. I think there need to be more money for organizations like this.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. And thank you so much for the work that you do and always pushing for this. So, Madam Clerk, please list it, and let's move on to resolution number 37. Please read.
Resolution 37, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract with Montclair Neighborhood Development Corp. to provide comprehensive recreational services and activities at Glenville Park, March 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2017, amount not to exceed $129,999.90.
Thank you. Please explain, Mr. Abramowitz.
Yes, Madam President. Similar to Weequahic Park in Montclair, in Glenville Park, the Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation will be providing services, recreational services, for the same type of contract, a 3-year contract, 10 months each year, for $129,999. Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation is actually a new vendor, but they're partnering with the old vendor, Montclair Grassroots. So it's actually part old, part new. It comes to $4,333.33 per month, and we provided you with a list of these services they'll be providing for the next 3 years.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Okay. Ms. Salam, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholders, any questions or comments? All right. Here,
Madam President,
Freeholder Johnson.
can I have a vote of affirmative on 33 through 36, because we're on 37? Oh, no. I'm sorry. Conference.
Cancel that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It happens. Happened to me earlier. So, Madam Clerk, hearing no questions or comments, please list it. And let's move on to resolution number 38. Please read.
Resolution 38, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract with the North Ward Center to provide comprehensive recreational services and activities at Branchbrook Park Athletic Field Complex, March 1st, 2015 through October 31st, 2017, amount not to exceed $138,666.72.
Thank you. Mr. Bromwich, can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President. This is the same for Branchbrook Park. The North Ward Center is providing comprehensive recreational services for the same period of time, March 1st, 2015 to October 31st, 2017, amount not to exceed $138,666.72. Their contract actually goes from March to October of each year. It comes to $5,778.78 per month, and it's the same vendor that's existing.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, any questions or comments?
No questions.
Ms. Salam, any questions or comments? Freeholders, any questions or comments? Okay, Madam Clerk, hearing none, please list it. And let's move on to resolution number 39.
Thank you, Gary.
Resolution 39, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs contract with United Community Corp. to provide comprehensive recreational services and activities at West Side Park, March 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2017, amount not to exceed $129,999.90.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Similar contract to the previous three. This is for West Side Park. The contract's with United Community Corporation, providing recreational services for $129,999.90. The contract period is March 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2017. It's a March to December of each year contract, and it's the same vendor as the last contract.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Ms. Salam, any questions or comments? Freeholders, any questions or comments? Freeholder Richardson?
I have an overall question. As I look at all of these, everyone else is March to December, but the North Fork is March to October. Why is that? Why aren't they all
Can you
the
come to
same?
the mic, state your name and affiliation?
I'm sorry, Daniel Savante. We have a little sidebar there. I'm sorry, Madam President.
That's all right.
Daniel Savante, Director of Parks, can answer that question for you, Freeholder.
Dan Savante, Madam Chair, Essex County Parks Director. The Branch Brook Park one is for outdoor recreation only. They do not have a facility to do indoor recreation, so it's all the outdoor activities that they run in the park.
Thank you.
Satisfy your answer, your question? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Madam Clerk, please list it. Let's move to resolution number 40. Please read.
Resolution 40, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs Professional Services Agreement to provide geographic arts and design services, Iris Communications, LLC, one-year agreement from date of award, $139,300.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President. Iris Communications provides graphic arts and designs for our Parks Department. They are the existing vendor. They have, actually, they have the last contract, I should say. This contract is for $139,300. The vendor is from Nutley. She is a WBN and SBE vendor, and she is here for questions and comments if you have any.
Great.
Barbara Bochis, Madam Chair. Iris Communications is probably the best example I can give you of Essex County and the best of who we are. If you will, and indulge me, Iris is a young company. We started in 2010 going through the New Jersey Small Business Administration. I worked with people from Newark and Hackensack, and they directed me to a wonderful woman named Deborah Collins, who is your Essex County Small Business Development and Affirmative Action. She guided me through the certification process. I'm proud to say that at 55, I started my own company. And Iris is now in its third year, hopefully. This contract will be our third year with Essex County. And I brought you, because I know there's some new freeholders here, some of our design work that we've done for the Parks Department. We also know that we were notified by Kate Hartwick that the design, one of our pieces, won an award for the Parks Department. So we're very proud of what we do. I'm very proud as a woman business owner to stand before you. I've lived in Nutley my entire life. I'm an Essex County resident, and I'm very proud, and I take it very seriously to work for Essex County. I really appreciate and value what the freeholders have given me, and the Parks Department has afforded me an opportunity to grow a small business. So I thank you very much. And if I can answer any questions, I would be more than happy to.
Thank you. Can you state your name and affiliation again, just for the record?
Barbara Bochis. I am Managing Director, Principal Owner of Iris Communications.
Thank you. And you certainly are an inspiration.
Thank you.
From one woman to another.
It's what we do.
Yes. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Ms. Salam? Freeholder Toro?
Well, I just want to say thank you for your services. Thank you for providing us literature to see your work, because I am one of the new freeholders, and I'm very proud that you are a woman-owned, and I support small businesses. Now, I have a question. It's probably not directed to you. It's most likely to our Department of Parks and Recreation. I see that the agreement for this year is $31,000 more. And I also saw that $20,000 is for unanticipated projects, so I'd just like some, if there's any idea why we may have unanticipated projects, what they are.
Good evening, Kate Hartwig, Director of Cultural and Historic Affairs. I work with Barbara on these pieces that we produce for the department. There is an increase because we've increased the number of anticipated projects that we have for the park system. We have expanded into doing more graphic design services at South Mountain Recreation Complex specifically, and signage within Turtleback Zoo, which was not previously part of this contract.
Thank you.
Freeholder Siebold?
Thank you. I've seen much of the work that Iris Communications has been doing, and I'd like to commend you for your beautiful work. And I think that this is really an asset to Essex County to have you receiving this grant to do this work.
Thank you very much.
To do this work.
I've been an advertising executive for previous to starting Iris. And when I started Iris, one of the things that I really wanted to do was bring the talent that I have and that my staff has to the government and the local level. And I know that a small business owner who has, I consider myself to be an expert, if you will, but I knew that we could bring so much value to Essex County. And I've lived here my whole life, so I know what I've seen before my work, so I knew I could make a difference, and I thank you very much.
And you certainly have been making a difference. Thank you.
Great. Freeholder Bobadilla?
I've shared a lot of your material through social media, and I can tell you that it has served its purpose. It's very engaging, and I can tell you, and the county has benefited, and especially the citizens of the county have really taken advantage because I guess the attractive appeal of your work. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Freeholder Jones?
Well, I want to congratulate you that you have received, and I'm looking at your work, it's excellent, but I do have a concern to the administration. Was this particular awardee, was this put out for the graphic arts or whatever, the RFP or for bid, or it was just, yeah, okay, I'm just waiting.
Through you, Madam President?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, this was a publicly advertised, fair and open RFP process.
So how many people applied?
We received 3 proposals.
3 proposals, and that, of course, was, she received the award.
That's correct.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam President, could I also add, and this is actually a very good segue for next week when Deborah Collins presents her report, because this is an example of the good work that that office does. This person was one of the first people that she kind of brought through the entire process to the Freeholder Board to get a contract. Now she's in the 3rd year, so I think it's an excellent reflection on what she does, Deborah Collins.
Thank you. And for those viewing at home and those in the public, next week, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Wednesday, we will be hearing from the Affirmative Action Director, and you are invited to come out to listen and to hear our response as well. So, any other questions or comments? Freeholder Luciano?
Yes, through you, Madam President. I just want to also comment and say that the literature is very good. This contract is only for design, right, Mr. Abramowitz? This isn't for production?
That's correct.
So, Ms. Hartwig, do you happen to just know offhand how much, at least for parks and recreation, how much do we spend on the county for production of these pieces?
I actually can not give you an exact number because we use multiple vendors and we get competitive quotes for each piece. We do not currently have a printing services contract. So I'd have to go through the budget and pull all of those figures for you.
Okay. If you could just provide that,
Sure.
at least to myself, maybe my other colleagues, But I will agree that these pieces are very good. I noticed in my package, though, again, this is for Iris Communications. Last year, you only expended $73,000. Is there a large anticipation as to why we're going up not to exceed $139,000 if we only spent $73,000 last year?
Through you, Madam President, this contract expanded the scope of the projects that we're covering with the contract. And so there's anticipated costs as we expand out to include South Mountain Recreation Complex and Turtleback Zoo signage.
Which is the same answer you gave to Freeholder Toro. Okay. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Please list it, Madam Clerk, and read resolutions number 41.
Resolution 41, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, authorization to use the Essex County Recreation and Open Space Trust Fund to fund the South Mountain Recreation Complex landscaping improvements in the amount not to exceed $229,970.
Thank you. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain?
Madam President, 42 actually goes with 41, if that's...
Okay. Madam Clerk, please read 42 as well.
Resolution 42, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering Contract Award to Charger Property Services, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for landscape improvement along the Orange Reservoir at the South Mountain Recreation Complex in the amount not to exceed $229,970.
Okay. Mr. Abramowitz, please explain.
Yes, Madam President. This was actually approved at the January 22nd, 2015 open space meeting. Sugar Properties is the lowest responsible bidder to provide landscape improvements along the Orange Reservoir at South Mountain Recreation Complex. We received 4 bids. This is out of the Open Space Trust Fund. We provided you with a map of the proposed improvements. It includes landscaping around the reservoir, an irrigation system, information signage, and Sugar Properties is a WBE, and we have a representative here from Sugar if you'd like to speak to him.
Yes, please.
Clarence?
Good evening, Madam President, fellow members of the chosen freeholders, and all those in present. My name is Clarence Sconyers, Clarence Nathaniel Sconyers III. Let me begin by stating that I am also a resident of the County of Essex, born in Livingston, grew up in West Orange, raised in Irvington, and currently reside in West Orange. I work for the Sugar Group, Sugar Property Services. You may be very aware of a lot of the work that we performed for the county. Let's start with the most recent projects, 2 bridges that oversee the reservoir. We did the original pathway. That this project is linked to this landscape work and additional irrigation work. We also constructed the boat launch pavilion that's over in the same South Mountain Recreation Complex. We also constructed the miniature golf course. We also constructed the zip line both times before and after Hurricane Sandy. We've also done different exhibits within the zoo, the bird aviary, the Gibbons exhibit, and probably several more I can't recall at the moment before my time at Sugar. This project in particular, as has been stated, majority is landscape work and the irrigation work, but there's also some concrete work and some also other site amenities, benches and so forth, to accent the natural design and layout of the Orange Reservoir and its habiting area.
Thank
you very much.
Mr. Polovecki, do you have any questions or comments?
No, just a comment. So the board will be asked next week to do 2 things. The first, Resolution 41, and to the new members in particular, you'll often see these combinations where Part 1 will be where the board's asked to authorize the use of funds from the Open Space Trust Fund. And then the second, Resolution number 42 in this case, would be the contract award to the vendor, and that would the vendor's contract would be paid for by the funds that were authorized in the previous resolution.
Okay. Ms. Salam, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Siebold?
Thank you. The packet includes the minutes from the Open Space Advisory Board. We met and we discussed all of Resolution 41 and 42, and everyone was very happy with what is going to be done. And the Orange Reservoir is so popular now. People are coming from all over Essex County. I was with friends of mine the other day who live in Montclair, and they were talking about how they come to Orange Reservoir. It's just attracting people not only from Essex County, but from out of Essex County. And I'm happy that we're going to be doing even more work to make it even more beautiful than it is already. And I know that Sugar Properties was the lowest bid out of 4.
Correct.
So, and I know you do excellent work, so I'm happy.
Thank you very
you're doing
much.
this.
Any other questions or comments, Freeholders? Freeholder Libby Jones?
First of all, I want to let you know how many persons works for your company?
Repeat that again, please.
How many people do you have working for this particular company?
Let's see, on this specific project, we're
Let's
going to,
talk about
as a whole.
yeah.
Okay, the Shager Group, Shager Property Services existed for over 30 years. We're located in East Orange, where the ShopRite used to be, if you're familiar with Dodge Street. But yes, we employ over 60% of our employees are from the County of Essex. We currently have over 120 employees. I want to say of those employees, roughly about 58% are minorities. And I would say more, but we're a multifaceted construction company, so we also do landscaping. We also do water main work, sewer work. We also do interior work, exterior, mold remediation, property maintenance, snow removal. So during certain seasons, those percentages are actually higher. It's just that right now, our landscaping division obviously is not functional, and construction work really slows down during these winter months where you can't really dig in the harder, cold ground and so forth. So if you were to ask me that same question, let's say in April, those percentages would be 15 to 20% higher in regards to the employees that are from the County of Essex as well as minorities. And also the total would be closer to 150, 180 employees.
Thank you. Freeholder Jones, does that satisfy your question?
Yeah.
Freeholder Richardson?
Yeah, just a comment. I'm very
Speak
familiar
in the
with the Shelby Group as well, and they do excellent work, as Freeholder Siebold talked about. And I also know their minority participation track record. They work with several municipalities with their prison reentry program where they hire folks coming home. So they have a really, really good track record. And they're hiring people out of Irvington, Newark, East Orange, all over Essex County, giving people an opportunity. So you guys do good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Luciano?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I have a few questions. Not for you. This gentleman who's here from Sugar, I can vouch, like my other colleagues, that I've sat in this chair for 3.5 years. Sugar Landscape and Property Group, you guys have been fantastic with so many of our projects, and that's why I know I'm confident to vote for this project. I just have a few questions for you, Madam President, for the administration. So for you, you can sit down. For Alan, I guess the first question I have, Alan, is you mentioned that we received a map. I don't think I have a map in my package. Was that?
It was.
Is it something, I don't know, maybe I just don't have it here? I don't know.
I brought it with me if you'd like.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Yours is in color. You may.
Okay.
I guess we were supposed to take one and pass it down.
Thanks. So, while Mr. Abramowitz is passing out the map, again through you, Madam President, if I could ask Mr. Salvanti, I just have a couple of questions for him as Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you.
Mr. Salvanti, thank you for being here tonight. Just a couple of questions. I know that you had gone on the record in front of the Open Space Trust Fund Board, at least that's what it says in our package where you discussed installation of landscaping, installation of an irrigation system. I'm assuming that means a sprinkler system, and an installation of an informational sign. I'm just curious, how much is the sign, the cost of the sign and the installation of the sign?
Through you, Madam Chair, these are nature informational signs that'll be along the reservoir. Their unit price is $395.
$395? And that's just one, or is there several of them?
This one calls for 10,
10, okay.
according to the big document.
So roughly about, I don't know, 4,000, 4,500?
$3,950.
And then the irrigation system? Do we have a breakdown as to how much that's costing us?
Just give me a second.
Again, it's not in my package, that's the reason why
Sure.
I'm asking.
Irrigation system is $63,000.
63,000, okay. And then landscape improvements, that's shrubs, trees, I don't know if you have
That's
a number.
$87,299.
Okay, so that's just for the cost of purchasing the shrubs. And then the additional cost of the $229,000 is labor?
No, there's some other items in the bid spec that is part of this project.
Do we, again, Madam President, through you, I'm just trying to get the scope of what the project is for $229,000. I mean, so far, that hasn't added up to $229,000.
Through you, Madam Chair, I could do a breakout and just read the sheet right in front of me, or I could provide it through the administration, and we could provide it that way. Should I
Yeah,
put it
listen,
on record?
we're not voting on this till next week, so through you, Madam
How
President.
long is it? You can break it out.
Okay, here we go. Ornamental bench with concrete slab, $13,000. Ornamented trash receptacles, $12,000. Reconstruction of retaining wall, $17,000. The nature informational signs, $3,900. The fishing area signage, $3,700. Stamped concrete pad is $29,000 and change. Irrigation, drip line, and so forth is $63,000. Landscaping work is $87,000 and change. Total contract price is $229,970.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silvante, and thank you, Madam President. Maybe just moving forward, if that stuff could be provided to us at our conference meeting before we go into our board meeting to vote on this stuff, I'd appreciate that. Alan Abramowitz?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that will be included in our packet. We will receive those, the answers for review again before we vote on this. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please list it. Let's move to Resolution number 43. Please read.
Resolution 43, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering, contract award to Applied Landscape Technologies Incorporated, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder to provide miniature golf course carpet replacement at South Mountain Recreation Complex, amount not to exceed $76,924.
Thank you. Mr. Bromwitz, please explain.
Yes, the Safari Mini Golf was built 5 years ago, and in 5 years, the usage of the carpeting, which is actually the putting surface, has worn and needs to be replaced. This contract is to do that. It's for Applied Landscape Technology for $76,924. The vendor is an SBE, and we received 2 bids from 2 vendors.
Thank you. Mr. Palavecchio, any questions or comments?
No, this is a lowest responsive and responsible bid.
Ms. Salam, any questions or comments? Freeholders, any questions or comments? Freeholder, Vice President Gill.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick question to you, Madam President. Just on the two, there just seemed to be a huge discrepancy between the 2 bids in terms of price. Just comment on potential reason for that.
I'll bring up Dennis Sedali from Public Works.
Dennis Sedali, Assistant County Engineer, Department of Public Works. There were two bids that were received. The lowest responsive bidder was significantly lower. We did meet with the lowest responsible bidder to make sure he understood the contract and could perform the work as specified for that amount of money, and he agreed and said he could do so.
Freeholder Gill, sure. Freeholder Vice
So
President Gill.
This is the first time that we're doing this, kind of, this is the first time we're doing this. This is this project, or redoing the mini golf course.
Through you, Madam President, yes, Freeholder, this is the first time we're refurbishing that carpet at the mini golf course.
Okay. And do we, through you, Madam President, do we anticipate having to do this once every 5 years?
It generally depends on usage, and I know there's been a lot of usage at the mini golf course the last 5 years. I think they're generating a lot of revenue there. There's a lot of play, and that's what wears the surface out.
Actually, I just did, through you, Madam President, I'll reserve this question or for follow-up until we meet again next week, but I do have an interest to understand a little bit more as to the technology that's used and how that discrepancy is accounted for between the two bids, and I'll follow up through you, Madam President, through the administration.
Absolutely. So the next time, at our next board meeting, we're expected to vote on this. If you can please explain, I'm going to call it turf, golf turf. That's probably not the technical term. But I need to know the technical term, and we need to understand it. Because if we have to incur this expense every 5 years, we need to know that. Or if they can possibly use a material that does not deteriorate as quickly, that's, I think, something that would be in our best interest for our taxpayers.
For you, Madam President, we'll provide that information.
Thank you. Ms. Salam? What's the timetable for the project, start and completion? Can you speak into the microphone?
Sharifa Salam, Deputy Freeholder, Council. The timetable for the project, start and finish?
I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but I believe it's in your packet, and I think it's in the memorandum of agreement. I think it's 45 days.
Through you, Madam President, it's 60 days.
60 days?
And also, as a follow-up, if it'd be helpful, if you'd like the vendor to come next week, we could provide that as well.
That'd be wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Freeholder, any other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, please list it, Madam Clerk, and let's move to resolution number 44. Please read.
Resolution 44, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering, resolution consenting to the Township of Bloomfield Ordinance Number 14-51, rescinding of left turn prohibition at the signalized intersection of Bloomfield Avenue, County Road 506, and Glenwood Avenue, Washington Streets.
Thank you. Mr. Bonwitz, please explain.
Yes, this was requested by the Township of Bloomfield. The county is responsible to bear the costs associated with removal of the no left turn sign, but the cost should be minimal for that.
Okay. Mr. Polavecchio, any questions?
No, thank you.
Ms. Salam, any questions or comments? No. Freeholders, any questions or comments? I just want to say this is my favorite resolution so far, that we can now turn any which way on that road. So hearing no other questions or comments, please list it, Madam Clerk. And let's move on to resolutions number 45 and 46, which will be voted on tonight as they were tabled at our previous meeting. Please read.
Okay. Resolution number 45, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering, contract award to J. Fletcher, Creamer and Sons, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, to provide for the construction of Newark Access Variable Message Signage System 100 an 80-day contract, amount not to exceed $397,785. Resolution 46, Department of Public Works, contract award to Klein Recycling, the highest revenue-generating bidder for the purchase and removal of various types of scrap metals from Essex County, 24-month contract.
Okay, so we'll first deal with resolution number 45. Mr. Abramowitz, can you please explain?
Yes, Madam President. It's a contract award to J. Fletcher Kramer & Son, the lowest responsive bidder, to provide the construction of Newark Access variable message signage systems. It's a 180-day contract not to exceed $397,785. 3 bids were received from 3 vendors. This is a grant-funded federal project. It's for new signage for county roads in Newark, installation included. We are requesting formal action, and the vendor is here for your questions.
Thank you. Can you have the vendor please come forward?
Good evening, Madam President, Freeholders. I'm Richard McLaughlin. I'm General Counsel for J. Fletcher Kramer & Son.
Okay.
The project, as I'm advised, consists of installation of over 1,000 signs. I know the text of the resolution in the agenda indicates that it's for variable message signs, but these are fixed signs to be attached to existing posts at intersections and other places throughout the city of Newark.
Okay. Mr. Polovecki, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Ms. Salam, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments?
I just like to ask,
Freeholder Jones?
where is this particular company located? You know, there.
The main office?
Yes.
Main office is in Hackensack and Bergen County.
Okay, let me ask the second question. In terms of, since you're doing Essex County, we have quite a few minorities that lives in the county of Essex. Can you give me a percentage or a number as to how many minorities works for your company, since you are doing such a big job in Newark?
I cannot give you a percentage for the city of Newark, but I believe that our minority percentage, based on numbers from our EEL1 report from last September, was approximately 14%.
Okay.
So your workforce was made up of 14% minorities? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And you said you believe?
Well, it can vary because as the person from the landscape company was at Charter indicated, as the seasons change, so does the workforce. And at this point in time, I have to say that we have fewer than 700 employees.
Okay. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Freeholder Bobadilla?
This is to the administration, but, and it's not on our agenda, but I do see it in the material. This is 100% grant funded? It looks like it's two grants.
If you could just, through you, Madam President, it's mostly grant funded. I don't want to say 100% and be wrong. We're just checking it right now. Yeah. 359,960 is grant funded. 37,825 is capital.
Capital, okay. All right, thank you.
So not, like you could say 90% grant funded would be an accurate.
Any other questions or comments, freeholders?
I just want to know,
Freeholder
you said
Jones?
14% minorities out of 700 employees. Just break down to me in percentage, right, in whole numbers.
It's about 100, it's a little over 100 people.
Okay, all right.
Can I do a clarification? Is that possible? On what an EEO1 report is? It's a snapshot. We're required to do it in Human Resources, and I believe I gave you a copy of that as well. It's a snapshot of your workforce at a particular time, so it can change from day to day, week to week, but we're required by the federal law to provide that at a certain time each year, and that's what we do.
I'm going to get you a whole number right now, Libby. One moment. I'll get it for you in a minute. Any other questions or comments? Well, Freeholder Richardson?
Do you, Madam President, J. Fletcher Kramer is a union outfit, correct?
That's correct.
Freeholder Richardson, can you please repeat that question just for me?
I was just asking the gentleman at the mic, was J. Fletcher Kramer a union outfit?
Okay. And you said there's 700 employees, roughly? That's 98, Libby. Whole number. And you said that that 98 varies from season to season.
As does the total.
And how about the last meeting that we had? There was questions regarding the residents.
I checked with our personnel department. I had 61 people from Essex County work with the company.
Do you know how many of those are of that 98?
I do not.
Okay. The owner of the company, they're not here tonight because they sent their counsel. Why?
Because this is what I do, really.
Okay. All right. Freeholders, any other questions or comments?
Thank you. I'd ask that you vote to approve the contract or award the contract.
I'm sure. All right. Hearing no other questions or comments, do I have a motion and a second?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Richardson, seconded by Freeholder Seabolt. We have a motion on the floor, but do we have another comment or question? No? Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Toro.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Mr. Abramowitz, please explain resolution number 46.
Yes, Madam President. It's a contract award to Klein Recycling, the highest revenue-generated bidder for the purchase and removal of various types of scrap metals from Essex County, the 24-month contract. We received 3 bids from 22 potential vendors. This is an open-ended contract. Last year, the same vendor, the revenue was $19,383. This bid is based on the American Metal Market, which is called AMM, which is a fair market value on an index. The bidder bid a % above or below market value. However, the local domestic value for the scrap metal is a lot more than over the AMM prices. The vendors these vendors that bid are selling to local markets, and we have a representative from Klein Recycling who perhaps can explain this much better than I.
Madam President, Board of Freeholders, my name is Anthony DePascal. I'm a current Essex County resident. I'm also the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Klein Recycling. We've been asked to come here to talk briefly about the American metal market. The American metal market is a market that's used for export. Our domestic relationships are much stronger based upon the current value of the scrap metal in the tri-state area. That's how we have the ability to bid above the American metal market.
Okay. So that 120% that you're able to pay us for the scraps, you're then reselling them overseas, and that's where you're making up the profit?
Just the opposite, Madam President. If you have the bid from 2 years prior, which was 2012 through 14, you'll see that the incumbent was 120%. That's public information. So our sales director bid slightly higher. And like I said, the American metal market is based on an export market, exporting to Turkey, China, Venezuela. So obviously there's more cost involved. There's cost for fuel, there's cost for cargo, there's cost for freight, cost for shipping. Now, as a larger company, we have a lot of domestic relationship with domestic mills, Pennsylvania, South Jersey, even, Port Newark, which is where a lot of our material goes and then shredded to mills throughout the tri-state area. So it's our domestic relationships that allow us to provide such a high number based upon the American metal market.
So walk me through the process. You get $5 for some scrap metal. What happens?
Okay, so right now the current American metal market is $225. So what we would be paying based upon just steel, because I'll keep it simple for you guys, we'd be paying roughly $285 a gross ton. Our profit margin on top of that, without giving too much information, is roughly $60 to $75. So when you minus the cost of our freight and our processing, everyone's under the impression that the scrap metal business is booming and everyone makes a lot of money, but the truth of the matter is we work on really small numbers and high volume. So when we buy metal from Essex County, it goes to our processing facility in Hillsborough, New Jersey. It's processed and then it's shipped 8 out of 10 times to a domestic mill. When I say domestic, I mean a mill that's located within 40 miles of our location, as opposed to an export where the material is taken to a port and then put in cargo ships and then loaded and sent over to Turkey, largest steel exporter right now currently, a little over 29% of the market, then China, South Korea, so on and so forth.
Okay, Mr. Palavecchio, do you have any questions?
No, I think he answered the question pretty well, and so that was the question that was raised last week. How can you give 120% of what you, but now it makes sense. So it's based on one market and you capture it back on the domestic side.
Absolutely, and if I may, Madam President, we work with Union County and Morris County, and we are doing a lot of things with the different counties in the state of New Jersey that produces additional revenue. Recycling days throughout the parks, where we also do e-waste holidays during the weekends, where a consumer that has electronics or just scrap metal that they're looking to get rid of but don't have the proper sources, we work very closely with Union County and Morris County. We hold both contracts as well. So there's opportunity if we had a point of contact with someone in that department where we think we can, unlike a lot of other companies that are coming up here looking for an approval to get money, we have a lot of ideas and marketing ways that are at no cost to the County of Essex, but will bring a substantial revenue.
Okay, well, we would certainly love to hear that. Freeholder Bobadilla?
It's a very interesting business model. I'm just wondering, do you have a community engagement program where you actually do some recycling for the general public?
Not with the County of Essex, but we do with Union County and we do with Morris County. And those are some of the things I was speaking about earlier. If we had a point of contact where we could take some of our marketing expertise and instill it to Essex County and set up, different events throughout the year, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, where residents that have scrap metal and really don't know how to get rid of it, and I know in Essex County, not a lot of the municipalities or the boroughs or the townships have a recycling program. They leave it at the curb, and more often than not, it's stolen before it even reaches an end recycler like ourselves. So if you do put something into place where every 3 months you set a park and a location and you kind of make a day of it, we drop a container, a can, a 30 or 40-yard dumpster, and whatever proceeds from the residents that they bring in, is generated back to the County of Essex.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
I mean, if legal allows, consider me a point of contact. I think it's a great service, and at times, that there's constituents that don't know what to do with this material, and we can't drive it up to Cedar Grove all the time. So I think that's essential, and thank you for the business insight.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for sitting through that. You jumped the gun and came to the microphone in the beginning and landed on resolution number 46.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please list it. I'm sorry, we're voting on this. Do I have a motion and a second? Moved by Freeholder Jones, seconded by Freeholder Toro. Roll call.
Freeholder Toro.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
A resounding yes. Revenue
So moved.
for our county that taxpayers don't have to do. Let's move to resolution number 47. Please read.
Resolution 47, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Purchasing Resolution, authorizing the participation in the Cranford Police cooperative pricing system.
Please explain, Mr. Ramos.
Yes, Madam President. By joining the program, this will give the County of Essex Prosecutor's Office and the Essex County Sheriff's Office a new venue from which to purchase law enforcement-based goods and services with pricing structures that offer a better value. We're requesting participation in the cooperative for a 5-year period. There's no cost for membership. This is another way to purchase goods, compare prices, and receive the best value. And we provide you with a list of vehicles and vendors and the costs.
Thank you. Freeholders, any questions or comments? Mr. Polavecchio, any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Abramowitz, you said there's no membership cost here, so there's no obligation for the county to use this. It's just another option, another opportunity to shop prices, basically.
Through you, Madam President, that's correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Lum, any questions or comments? Freeholders? Freeholder Jones? Did you? Okay. Hearing none, please list it, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to the commendations, and please read them.
Resolution 48, commendation honoring Lowell Kelly Gamble for his outstanding performance in the shot put at the USA Track and Field and Junior Olympics and Nationals, July 24, 2014, sponsored by Freeholder Toro. Resolution number 49, commendation, congratulation, the Board of Directors of Desfile Festival, Cultural, and Dominicano del Condado de Essex on his swearing in.
Freeholder Toro, can you please read the names?
Yes, because I think I mutilated it.
Sure.
49.
Resolution number 49, commendation congratulating the Board of Directors of Desfile y Festival Cultural Dominicano del Condado de Essex on its swearing in January 29, 2015, sponsored by Freeholder Bobadilla.
Thank you. We couldn't have said it any more beautiful.
That's exactly how I meant to say it.
Through you, Madam President, I'd like to be added to that.
Yes. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Okay, let's move on to the report of board committees. Do we have any report of committees? Okay. Do we have any legislative reports? Freeholder, Vice President Gill.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not sure if this goes under legislative reports, but there was a meeting on Friday of the new session for the New Jersey Association of Counties. The leadership of the New Jersey Association of Counties was elected at that meeting. There's information that's been provided from NJAC for all the board members, for the newer freeholder members. It's a great resource, to hear about what's going on in other counties as they address the same issues that we're dealing with. Some of the things that were just highlighted during the course of that meeting were, of course, the issue with the Transportation Trust Fund and as it affects the counties, as well as some very positive developments regarding some legislation regarding the Mosquito Control Commission as well. There are a weekly, I'm not sorry, weekly, but I think there are monthly legislative reports provided by the New Jersey Association of Counties for us, and of course, please do not hesitate if there's anything that you'd like me to bring to their attention at the meetings going forward. Everyone is free, obviously, to reach out directly to their executive director, but if there's anything that I can do to help facilitate a need there, please don't hesitate to call me. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Freeholder Vice President Gill. Any other legislative reports? Okay, hearing none. Are there any written communications? Okay, Freeholders, do you have any unfinished business? Okay. Any new business to discuss? All right, Madam Clerk.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, we're on Freeholder comment or new business. I apologize.
New business. We're under new business. I was getting ready to go to public comment.
I'll wait till Freeholder comments.
Okay. So now we've arrived at the public comment. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any matter, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. But before you do so, I want to tell you that last week we had a public comment session. Chris Taylor from IBEW, the chief shop steward of Local 1158, asked the board to look into an issue to pay disparity for 15 county employees who were asked years ago to leave the Division of Welfare and move to the Division of Training and Employment and to set up a training unit, and who, as a consequence, are now earning less money than employees doing the same job in the Division of Welfare. A response went out on the 3rd, and it was received on the 4th. We will be setting up a meeting to talk to all parties about it. And Vesta Goodwin Clark from St. James Social Service Corp., right there next to NJPAC, the line that is usually wrapped around the block and feeds a lot of homeless and hungry people, asked the freeholders to look into RFPs for nonprofit agencies to ensure the adequate funding is provided so they are able to provide their services. She specifically referred to applications made by her agency that were woefully underfunded and not funded at all, especially CDBG funding for administrative and construction costs. We sent something out on the 21st. It was received on the 21st, and we need additional information from the administration. But our response directly from here is that we have set up a committee to review nonprofit funding to make sure that we have information and we are tapping into those that are on the ground providing services. Former state president of the NAACP, Mr. James Harris, asked that the county require all vendors to provide an affirmative action impact statement before being awarded contracts and encouraged the county to monitor successful vendors to ensure that their workforces appropriately reflect the county's requirement. He also encouraged that the county to be sure that the diversity of the county's population is reflected in the membership of the various advisory boards, and residents lacking higher education degrees also be considered for appointment to them. We sent something out on the 3rd, and the response was received on the 4th. That's confirmed. Mr. Harris is here again with us. And then there was Mr. Douglas Freeman, who spoke about the hazardous conditions caused by hanging utility wires, especially in Newark, and asked the county to address this issue with various utility companies. We sent the answer out on the 3rd of February, and the response was received on the 4th. So with that said, any members of the public who would like to comment on anything, please come forward to the microphone.
Douglas Freeman, South Ward 44th District Leader, P.O. Box 4252. I want to talk about the polling election machines. In South Ward 22 District, our polling machine went down in that district twice. And now the election board is sending out notifications to the poll workers for the mistakes between the paperwork and the machine. That's not the poll workers' fault. That's the equipment and the equipment that we've been providing. And this is something through you, Madam Chair, I would like you to address this issue with the election board. Also, we want to make sure that, because we have an election coming up in the city of Newark for the school board, and that's going to be in April, we want to make sure that this particular machine does not go down while the people are actually in the process of voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other members from the public wishing to speak? And as is our practice, we'll respond in writing, but certainly noted. Any other members? Hearing none, Mr. Tedesco, how did I do on time? I know.
Let's see what it says.
Thank you, Madam President. William Tedesco, Roseland, New Jersey. I was late,
I
10
know.
minutes. And the reason I noticed two other of my colleagues, and probably because we were stuck on 280,
Yeah.
because there was a problem with the water thing. So I was late tonight, so you did better than me. Thanks.
Thank you for always being a good sport. I live for this part of the agenda. Okay, any other public comments? Hearing none, we're going to open up to our comment session. Freeholders, do you have any comments that you'd like to make? Freeholder Vice President Gill.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to just make a comment regarding the response, the most recent response to the storm that we had on Monday. I have heard from many, all of our constituents, but many constituents, in particular in Montclair, about the response on Monday in our effort. I raised this during the Freeholder comment session to say that I know we have continually had a standard of excellence in how we have delivered services here in the county, and on Monday we, to a certain extent, failed in that respect. There were understanding that there were extremely difficult conditions of what our public works folks were dealing with out there. The response time was adequate when calls came in, but on that first round, I think we missed the standard that people have come to expect from the county. I know that our public works director, at least on my inquiries, had provided information to me as to some of the reasons for that, and why in particular Valley Road, Grove Street, and Watchung were in the shape that they were in for a continual period of time. I'm not sure you, through Madam President, if maybe it makes sense to also, if other freeholders agree, maybe they would like that information as to, or if they had that same experience in areas that they represent here in the county. But I, for one, want to put on the record that I think we have to do a little bit better.
Freeholders, any other comments? Freeholder Luciano.
Thanks, Madam President. Just a few things to touch upon. First, I'd like to say I apologize for being a few minutes late. Like Mr. Tedesco said, we were in bumper to bumper on 280, so I would like to ask the clerk to record my vote for ordinance number 1 and number 2. I would like to vote yes on both of those through you, Madam President. Secondly, I'd also like to echo what Freeholder Vice President Gill mentioned. I was away for a few days, but I returned yesterday, and when I returned, I did have a slew of emails and some phone calls about some of the county roads in my district, and we know that the storm was pretty unconscionable, and it wasn't even really snow. It was like snow and then rain and then ice on top of that. So we understand that it's very difficult, but you know, of course, we're always held to the highest standard. I always get the compliments that the county roads are always the first plowed. You know, they're always salted the best, and we just want to keep that reputation out there. Moving forward, we know we have a few more snowstorms coming, so I just wanted to echo those comments. And lastly, for anyone in attendance, Freeholder Siebold, Mr. Tedesco, 280 westbound is shut down, so I would find an alternative way home if you are heading that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
For that. Freeholder Siebold.
Thank you very much. I would also like to cast my vote in the affirmative for those votes which I missed because of my lateness.
Absolutely. Freeholders, any other comments? Okay, I have a Freeholder Johnson.
For all those freeholders that 280 West is kind of shut down, you could drive through South Orange Avenue and drive through Newark. I'll be happy to guide you through it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I just want to make one comment. I will always acknowledge my father when my father is in the room. So my daddy is here, and I just wanted to say hello. That's my comment. I see that you're tired. I know all of your mannerisms. Thank you for sitting through. Freeholders, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved.